That's always the side at there's Scotty Lee. This is only, what, 10, 15 minutes before the game.
He's not even dressed.
Not even. It's pretty relaxed,
Some players like that. They'd like to get dressed in the last month. Just give yourself around about 10 or 15 minutes.
Stewie Dew left the screen there. That's a great skill, that, isn't it? Good hands. And, of course, we haven't got any Glenelg vision. And we must apologise to all the Glenelg supporters, but I'm told Robbie Popperstone went down with the camera crew and wasn't allowed into the Glenelg room. Now, Mark, what do you make of that?
Well, you look at Wayne Stringer this year. It's his first-year coach. He might just be trying to protect a few players. He has got a few young players. He's got two players one player at 16. He's got 3 players at 17 playing this afternoon, and that's a very young side, possibly having a camera in the room. He might just be trying to protect it, but we're here to promote SANFL football. They need a promotion. To me, I mean, it wouldn't bother me with the camera came in for a minute or two if I was coaching Glenelg.
Well, would Wayne Stringer know about it? Would somebody else have made that decision? Maybe the coach doesn't know that the cameras weren't allowed in. Interesting one. We'll follow that up during the week. There'll be more on that, I can tell you, because one of the things we need to do is get in and promote the clubs to their supporters around the country. This week, it was Mark Nayley catching up with Wayne Stringer. This is what he had to say about today's game.
Wayne, we're halfway through the season. Not quite halfway. We've played each other once so far. How have you sort of seen the Glenelg side going so far this year?
No, look, we'd obviously like to be a little bit better off than what we are, but we're sitting midfield. And with our new setup this year and lots of new game plans, lots of new young kids involved, we're reasonably happy with our performances at this stage.
You're talking about the kids. You've got one at 16 years old and you've got 2 or 3 also at 17 years old. And that's, to me, that's a fair punt on behalf of sort of Wayne Stringer to bring these young kids up and develop them so early in their careers.
Yes, it is. We put a lot of lads up at pre-season and had a look at them then. And out of that, we chose a core of those 4 lads that we thought were going to show some promise. And they're mature young lads for their age. So really, I think they're playing as really 19 or 20-year-olds. So they've been good, those kids, and we'll keep persevering with them.
All right, today's game against Centrals, how do you reckon they'll approach it?
I'd suggest they'll be fairly angry because we beat them out here game
That's
1
right.
and perhaps caught them, on the hop a little bit. So I'd suggest they'll be willing to look for revenge. We're looking for it as a great challenge and want to go back out there and play well. We do play pretty well on that ground, so we're looking forward to it.
We'll talk about that ground. What's your game plan for this afternoon?
Right, well, we've got to obviously play the corridor down there because it is such a wide ground. We'll play the corridor and kick the ball down through the middle of the ground and hit the fronts of the packs and try and move it on quickly. And looking forward to some competition and contests all around the ground.
All the best today, Wayne. Thank you.
Thanks, Harris.
Yes, a fair comment that, isn't it? Wayne Stringer persevering with the young kids, and at this stage of the season, they really haven't let him down terribly badly at all. On the other hand, Michael Wakeland, one of Central District State representatives last week, had this to say when he caught up with Mark Nayley, also on Thursday night.
Well, Michael, last week you had opportunity to play your second state game in ACT. How'd you feel?
Yeah, it was a great experience. Like this year we had a lot more of the senior sort of blokes like Jarman and McIntosh and Scotty Lee plays here anyway, but just to play with those blokes was a great experience and a great honour, I guess.
Well, on today's game against Glenelg, who actually thumped you in that first round, what have you done a little bit differently this week, or what has Coach Wright done this week for you?
Well, we've pointed out a couple of areas we were very weak in on the first game, our attack on the ball and our taking of an opponent, like one-on-one, and we just didn't do that in the first game, and that's a couple of the things we'll work on this week, being a bit more tougher on our opponents.
Right, Glenelg, their strengths and their weaknesses?
I think they have a very good ruckman in Wayne Thornborough and a very good ruck setup. They start a lot of their movements forward through him, and I think that's one of their strengths. And I guess if they have a weakness, they're so young, they've got a very young side, but that works both ways, I guess. They can be very enthusiastic as well.
Right, the question that most Central District supporters want to know, why will Centrals win this afternoon?
I think because we'll be more disciplined and we'll have a stronger attack on the ball.
And as the toss is about to go on the centre, sorry, I was just having a look around to see when they were tossing the coin, and there it is. Benny Thompson on the left, Roger Girdham and Ben Thompson. The acting captain today for Glenelg has won the toss, 2 players at centre-half back, and he's kicking to the right of screen to the southern end or city end of Central Oval. So a big match-up. As we go to the lineups, first of all, it's Central District as Mark Nayley and Glenn Elliott talk us through both these sides.
Just see the Centrals at the moment. They've got a bad side at the moment, Glenn. You just see Scotty Lee, who's been in sensational form, played in the state game last week along with a couple of other of his teammates. We saw Wakeland before also. They've got a cross there, and Hicks. But one of the a couple of the exciting players, young Stewie Dew, only 17 years old, but you've been involved in Glenelg. There's a couple of young players out there as well.
Yeah, Glenelg have got a lot of young fellows there, but just harking back on the Centrals side for a moment, I think one of the actual turning points for them, if there is such a thing in a season, maybe Conway's moved to centre-half back. He's been terrific since he's been there. But
and Hicks to centre-half forward.
Yeah, so they're doing a bit of an Essendon approach, throwing the players from one end of the ground to the other. But importantly, from Glenelg's point of view, Wayne Thornborough been an absolute sensation this year, and really has been a prime mover in a couple of their victories. Other players that have been exceptional, Ben Thompson, who made the stateside last year, which was fantastic. Burke, of course, is just a really resolute and resolute hard player. And of course, Glenelg were involved in a drawn-out, I guess, negotiation period with North Adelaide over Sean Tasker, and they'll be certainly looking for him to show that he was worth the fight today. Yes, well, young Corns, I mean, you'd think you'd seen a Graham Corns. Corns, you must think he's seen a ghost when he sees his son run around, because all the mannerisms are exactly the same. Other players that have been absolute key people for Glenelg, of course. I mean, Darren Reed's an experienced 26 or 27-year-old fellow, but looking there at young Corns again, the viewers at home must think that, gee, it is uncanny, the likeness, and he's got an exciting future in front of him.
See McGowan there in picture. He'll be one of the key players this afternoon. Standing behind there is Holm. Also has played most of the games this year.
Yeah, it's a very... he hurts the opposition with his possessions, Mark, doesn't he? I mean, he's one of those players who, you know, he's not a quick-moving player, but probably not unlike Williams when Williams is playing at Carlton. Just a very integral part of Central's plan. And, of course, Roger Girdham there, well, you know, enough seen, enough said sort of business. He's represented everything that's been good about Central Districts in recent years.
And a couple of players there on screen. Young Cotter, or Craig Potter, that is. He's played a couple of games in the reserves this year. He's back for his first game. He'll be pretty excited to be back in there. But you see the Glenelg boys there. They're in the huddle. They need to win. They won their first game against Central Districts in the opening round. I'm sure they'd like to win this afternoon as well.
Oh, Mark, that's correct. I mean, from Glenelg's point of view, the whole season, not the whole season, of course, but the season sets up in the next month for them. I mean, for Glenelg, they've got this game against Central Districts where, you know, it's just so important to do well against a side that has proved itself to be the benchmark of the SANFL, albeit without a premiership. But Centrals are just a hard, tough unit who, when you come out here, I don't think things have changed from your early days, Mark. A visit out to Centrals was never that pleasant, was it?
There's a few more trees have grown around the place, and it's a bit more atmosphere, but a good crowd here this afternoon. I was quite surprised when we got here around about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and the car parks were nearly full. But you can see there on screen, there's plenty of people. They love their football out north of the city. They love to see their beloved Bulldogs at home. I remember the days going back in the mid-'80s, where they used to be able to get that Central's cry going towards in that last quarter. It was pretty exciting stuff.
Certainly one of the most intimidating grounds to come to.
Certainly a big crowd due here this afternoon as Rob Popplestone sitting down on the boundary line. And Rob, tell us about the weather conditions down there.
Much at the moment, DB. I could say that quite safely. In fact, the rain has cleared. The conditions, I'd say, will improve as the game, enters into the second, third quarter. But I think it's going to be a fierce opening. But as I said before, Central Districts will win by around 4 or 5 goals.
And wind direction, Rob?
No wind at all.
OK, umpires today, Justin Schmidt, Tim Pfeiffer and Mark Barnett. The SANFL has sent out 3 of their top men for our game of the day. There has been some conjecture over the umpiring today, and speaking to the umpires before the match, they're going to protect the man playing the ball. They're going to ask the players to get it out, and they've promised me no soft free kicks. As we prepare for the first quarter here at Elizabeth Oval, your commentators, Mark Nayley and Glenn Elliott.
We're just waiting for the players to get into positions.
Mark, just while you're waiting for the umpires, it's a very interesting interchange bench for Glenelg with the experienced campaigner Alan Bartlett. It'll be a long time since he started on the bench.
A little bit of movement there. Girdham in the middle, alongside the young fella. Looks like Pearce, is it?
Yes, it's Pearce.
Pushing and shoving. Thornborough up and ruck. Good chat to start with Thornborough. Through coming hard. That player there is Steinburner. Was a Craig Cotter. Players throwing themselves over the footies, knocked back out. Glenelg had an opportunity here to go forward. Some quick movement of the ball. Hands given about over the top. Again, they go forward. Ball runs out wide. Number 9 out there is Alistair Burke. He just needs to settle himself. He's got to lead up forward. Player there is Tasker. He goes longer over the top, only as far as the Central District's big fella, centre half back, and Mark Conway.
Conway, Glenn, will be a big stumbling block.
David, as we were mentioning pre-match, and Conway spears it out. I think it's on the outer flank to Centrals, but he's an integral part of this game.
Cotter goes forward. Good mark, Thornborough. He's taken plenty of those today. Brooks hasn't. Wayne Stringer resurrected his career. The former Sturt champ goes forward, but Scotty Lee, fresh from a stint with the state squad last week, and he played pretty well at 33. Marks at half-back. Redirects it towards the centre of the ground. McGowan, who's a bogey man today. Just trying to pick up who's picking him up, Glenn. You might help us there.
Yeah, it's young Josh Pearce, David, 17-year-old lad who, top young player.
This is Steinburner through half forward. Look at the loose men for the Central District side. James Wine playing at half forward, comes inboard through the middle, and at 6 from centre half forward. Point blank range puts through the Bulldogs first.
Yeah, from Glenelg's point of view, I mean, it's a great start for Central Districts, but when you consider, I mean, all the visits out here for various clubs over the years, it's an ominous sign when people like Conway and Lee and Jimmy Wind, get the ball, and it just runs the whole length of the long Elizabeth Oval without a Glenelg player actually being able to lay a hand on it. And a great start to Central Districts.
So it's Central 6-point margin. Played a couple of minutes in this first quarter. For those viewers at home, big Damien Arnold just confused me slightly. He's wearing number 5 jumper this afternoon. Used to be number 26. He's taking on Thornborough. He should do much of the ruck work. There he is, Arnold just knocks it forward. Again, we find Hicks, who kicked the last goal. Girdham's in there. He throws the ball forward. Again, with Connor over the top. He's got Stevens by himself. He does that. He's a left leg. He goes wide out to win. He's got to play it loose if he wants to use him, which he does. That's home.
Glenn, you couldn't possibly believe how loose the Tiger defence is.
No, it's David, it's got to be a very ordinary start for Glenelg. I mean, you just cannot give, the likes of Wine. Wine's been an integral part of the first 2 goals, and give him a little bit of space to move on. And of course, it's a very dangerous and very dangerous move, and it'll show on the scoreboard.
So Daniel Holm, one of the Tasmanian recruits that came across to the Bulldogs this year, 25 metres out, directly in front. Shouldn't have a problem kicking this. He does, and the umpire goes back. Indicates he's kicked it. That's Daniel Holm's first goal for the afternoon. And that brings up Central District second.
Glenn, it wasn't just Holm that was loose. There were probably 4 players not within 10 metres of their opponent.
David, I mean, the Glenelg fellows have really got to take stock. It's the worst imaginable start to have a couple of quick goals against you out here, but what a great get it was by Girdham to get the whole ball flowing.
Yes, Holm has averaged a goal a game in his stint with the Bulldogs. He liked that one. Back at centre. It's 12 points to 0. The Bulldogs have had a fly. Down it goes to Cook. Cook goes back to Arnold. Arnold, of course, wearing the number 5 Guernsey. Oh, Holm went through hard. Number 5 was worn by Flood, and before that, Reimers. With Flood's retirement, Visca gets it out the back door. Burke streaks away from half-back, goes through half-forward, a good direction, and it's Ottens at half-forward. In fact, he's inside the 50-metre square. Fully fit today, goes long. The lead was on. No mark taken. Loose ball off hands, falls down now to Tamblin. Tamblin through half-forward, goes towards goal, but the kick's going to be short.
Yes, and the big young man who took it at centre half forward, of course, Bradley Otten's one of the most sought-after footballers Australia-wide, I guess, at this stage.
Would you have played him in the state team, Glenn?
No.
Not ready yet?
No, well before his time.
So the ball thrown in. It's in the pocket for the Glenelg side. The ball gets pushed out. Central's back line working very hard to keep it in that area. Not letting the ball escape. Over the top there, Central District's Craig Cotter. As we see the Central District, the bench there. From Green. And also Craig Potter. The Raider up over the top. Grain. Cotter gets thrown to the ground.
Yeah, David, just one of the comments about today, of course, a young Glenelg fellow making his debut, and Ryan Eagle, former Teal Cupper. Great to see him get an opportunity out here at Elizabeth.
Seem to have a lot of young kids, Glenn, and Wayne Stringer's really thrown his weight behind them.
Yeah, certainly. His Burke kicks to the full forward line, and I think it's through for a behind. Just on that, David, I mean, certainly there are some young fellows at Glenelg, as there are at every club, but likewise, you go through this side and there's some very experienced players there, likes of Rubinick, Thornborough, Tasker, and the list goes on. So it's a nice balance. Once again, Reid, who's an experienced player, former assistant coach down in the Latrobe Valley League. So it's a nice balance of youngsters and experienced players.
It must be hard, Glenn, these days. When you're trying to develop these young kids, okay, you've got your Ottens, and you also got your Coltons, and you've got your Corns coming through, and also the young fella in Pearce. But it must be very difficult, just considering the AFL talent scouts are out and about trying to grab any of the young talent coming through.
Mark, it's going to be a unique talent, isn't it? Trying to develop youngsters who aren't quite good enough.
That was Pearce scoring a behind. So the Bulldogs on the board as the ball comes in wide. This is Cotter at half-back. He Rodens hard at the ball, this kid, improving with every game this season. Arnold tried to thump it forward, but there's been a mark paid, and it's going to Hicks, who's running far and wide from centre-half forward. Cotter off to Arnold, inboard, goes over the top, back to Hicks. Centrals just hit the target each time with the ball, don't they? And Holm retains possession. Now comes back inboard. Conway has drifted down from centre half back. It's open right up again for the Bulldogs. Through half forward, and it's out on the lead, the runner. And it's Wakeland, just inside the 50-metre line.
And what a magnificent kick that was from Conway. It's great to see direct penetrating disposals like that. And that Tasmanian fellow, Holm, isn't he a hard case?
Yes, he'll love these conditions, by the way. He's been found wanting a little bit in the dry grounds, but in conditions such as today, he is just running amok. Wakeland strives for distance, just jags it to the left, offline and through for a behind. The Bulldogs 2-1, Glenelg 2 points. We're 6.5 minutes into the first term.
Yes, the game's settled down now, and I think Glenelg have found their feet, and it's going to be a hard struggle for both sides with the sting out of the ground out here today.
Rowan Ward to bring the ball back in with the Tigers. Goes long, looking for Thornborough in the right position. The Glenelg have the smaller players in the front of the pack. Plenty of feeling out there at the moment. I think the Central Districts believe that if they muscle, or try to out-muscle this young Bay side, that they will break early. Number 20 going forward again at the back of the pack there. Beautifully read was James Tablin. The umpire indicates he's given the advantage. Young Tablin brings up his first goal. And a much-needed one for the Tigers.
And that all started, of course, with some nice rebound from half-back and, you know, a very competitive effort from Brad Ottens at centre-half forward. And Tamlin's read the ball absolutely perfectly and didn't panic, realised he had a couple of yards up his sleeve and literally dribbled it through for the Tigers' first goal.
Little blonde-haired player, 58, Ryan Eagle. Glenn, was that the player setting it up from defence?
Yeah, Ryan Eagle's a promising young lad from, that's limping off down here. Is it Thornborough or is it who's injured himself? It's not on shot at the moment, but we'll talk about that in a moment.
Fair enough, back in the middle, 2-1 to 1-2, back to within 5 points. The Glenelg side just need the next answering goal. Loose ball falls, Ottens couldn't get it. Jones sneaks away from the middle, blasts it out wide. Hicks is the target. Now he's been running hard and wide, keeping in front of Thompson. He's pretty mobile, this fellow. Not too many players beat Thompson to the ball. Snaps it around the corner. The crowd liked it. Hicks likes it. He didn't get a goal last year, and he's got 2 already today.
What an absolute magical goal. You know, fantastic effort from him, and he's really started off this game sensationally. When we made reference to Eagle before, of course, he hasn't actually come on the ground as yet. I think that may have been Jeff who rebounded, but what a tragedy for Glenelg. Thornborough's limped off early in the first quarter.
As we go down to the boundary line, and Rob Popplestone.
Thanks for that, DB. Yes, that's a big concern for the Glenelg Football Club, isn't it? Wayne Thornborough's problem is his right knee, and that's being attended to at the moment, but they can ill afford to lose his height and class, especially in the high man or the big man area.
So 11-point margin to the Bulldogs. So young fella and Andrew McLean, the young 23-year-old who's replaced Thornborough, goes straight into the ruck. Up against the big fella and Arnold. Plenty of hustling and bustling. 58 there and screen is young Eagle.
Yes, well, of course, I'm not sure whether it's one that Wayne's had problems with before, but he has a history of some knee problems. We hope it's not too severe.
Good mark taken by War. Strong grab. Tries to get the ball moving as quickly as possible. He does that. Only get it back as far as Stevens for the Bulldogs. Stevens comes inside that left leg of his. Pushes it out wide. Pushed by Cotton. A good mark again taken by War.
War short, out wide.
Yeah, he's a real touch player, Warren. He's relays the ball over to Jep, who's through to Reed, and back again to Kretschmer, through the centre of the ground, and Tasker attacks the ball for the first time in the day.
Now, we're not going to let you commentate.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure. You tapped me on the shoulder and I thought I had to commentate. And it's up to Pearce in the forward pocket, and I'll hand it over to you, David.
Thanks for that, Glenn. You're like Dougie Hawkins. You never stop once we start you. Due out of play. No, I was actually referring to off half-back. It looked like Jep, but he's in 58 jumper. Jep's listed as 43, so he's just changed jumpers.
Well, I mean, that's the most remarkable person is certainly Shane Jep out there. It's a far cry from Ryan Eagle.
OK, thanks for that. Let's settle the score. Arnold in front, Cook down the bottom. Holm gets another possession, evades the tackle by Corns, flicks it out now. McGowan around the corner, no one home for the Bulldogs. The Tigers have 3 players. McQueen was beaten by the bounce, backed up nicely by Brooks. Isn't he getting better? But the kick was wasteful. McGowan over the top of it. He likes these conditions. Jones mops up nicely, distributes it wide to the outer side where Cook is running. This fellow's just getting better as each season goes on. His kick is a penetrating one, and early in his career he really couldn't kick over a jam jar, and that's a great mark, Wakeland. Oh, I thought he was going to play on at one stage, but he goes back and takes the kick. Coffey's on a lead. That's ignored. Back in the square is Hicks. He goes that way. Now a long bomb. Right to the square. It's Hicks. And the big fly was Visca. Thumped it through and conceded the point.
And what a terrific player Mark Visca is when he comes back to SANFL footy. He really epitomises everything that's hard about footy.
In other matches around town today, the Eagles trail West Adelaide by 1 point. An important match for the Eagles. North by 2 goals over South. Civil war happening down there. Take it away, Mark.
One of the young players, 70-year-old here, Colton. Really mature for his age. He puts the ball up high. McLean in the front. Good spoil from behind by Arnold. Gets down to McGowan. McGowan just chips the ball forward. Good vision shown by McGowan. The player was Wakeland. Just comes inboard and finds Tim Cook. At the moment, just Central Districts have far too many loose players moving forward when the ball does go that way.
Yeah, it's certainly, Mark, with we mentioned early days, and I mean it is very early in the match, but you just can't give McGowan space.
So Cook, around about 35 metres out, that lovely left leg of his, he pierces the centre of the goals. That brings up his first goal for the afternoon and brings up Central District's 4th.
Yeah, I think early days, it's just one of the things that's happening with Centrals. They're much smoother into the forward lines than what Glenelg are at this stage, and the experienced players to date for Centrals have had a big influence on their initial 4 goals in the game.
Tim Cook averaged a goal a game last year. Early in his career, he couldn't find the goals at all. But I think in 95 it was, he averaged almost 2 goals a game. He was quite prolific. Now back amongst the goals. And it's 26-8, almost 13 minutes in. McLean thumps it down the ground. Loose ball falls to Stevens. He really is getting away on the outer wing there. Corns is just giving him a fair bit of space. This is Thompson fighting back. Much better when he attacks the ball. Around the corner, Steinberner couldn't quite get to the contest. Burke has picked up a free kick. No, given away a free kick to the umpire. And Steinberner gets one for being taken too high. Plays on quickly. It's great play. Chips it in short. Cook drops into the front of the pack. Couldn't complete the mark. Needs support now. Gets it. Arnold did very well to evade the tackle. One step and bangs the kick forward into space. Big fly, loose ball, and Stevens around the corner goes towards Coffey. One-hander couldn't bring it down, but War just bundles him over the top of the ball, and the point is conceded.
Yes, there's a lot of, it was a hard grind to force it up there, and War really stood his ground in the last line of defence.
The ball being cleared out. Goes wide. The running player there is in Kretschmer. Fairly quiet so far in this game. His first possession. Coming forward again. The big fella in Conway. Oh, just tap danced around. Good second effort shown there by Conway. Comes in and tackles strongly. But nearly received the free kick for holding the ball.
Wouldn't be a Bay Chef winner between Conway and Brad Ottens, would they?
Well, I think Conway, since he's lost a lot of weight and got very fit, Glenn, has really improved in that department, and his second effort then was outstanding.
Well, I remain to be convinced, David.
Righto, back to you, Mark.
Good quick hand shown by McLean. Flicks the bat forward. Coming inboard, Tasker. This has a chance of a jump, and Ottens over the top also. Conway keeps his ground. He goes wide to their experienced Lee. He's thrown to the ground He ball and he just goes 15 metres forward. It's taken by the young fella in Bradley Ottens.
This is one kid you do like, Glenn, isn't it?
Look, he's there's not a recruiting person around Australia that doesn't know who Bradley Ottens is, and you know, to come up and in the big man department to be competing against fellows 10 and 12 years his senior is outstanding, because it's done wonders for his temperament, and he's got a marvellous future. He's usually a very reliable kick at goal.
So Ottens, on a slight angle, just goes back, didn't quite make the distance, from around about 45 metres out, and he brings up his first score for the afternoon.
Yes, it just strayed there a little touch, and once again it pays commentators not to be making any wild predictions about players in accuracy in front of goal.
Glenn, you could say, though, and it's not putting too much pressure on him, he's likely to be the #1 draft pick in next year's draft.
Oh, very strong possibility of that.
I'm talking to a few of the recruiting guys, I think that's going to be true. Stewie Dew pushing for selection with the power, goes long. What a beautiful kick he is, a powerful kick. Upended and going to ground was Rubenik, gets the free. Won't worry him too much, he just gets on with it. I like this player too, Kretschmer. He's tough at the footy all the time. Out to McLean, who just didn't quite get there. Visca is strong at the ball too. No one tougher than him. Brooks, the left footer. A long ball through half forward, 2-on-1 contest. Dew was up to the contest and thumps it across the line.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of, quite obviously, Glenelg over the last couple of years, and with Thornborough's little accident today, I mean, it's really the day for Andrew McLean to stand up and put his mark on the game.
So half-forward flank for the Bays. The Tigers. Ottens over the back, gets the tap to his player. Can't quite pick him up. I think it's Darren Reid. The umpire indicates he's going to bounce the ball. No, he indicates he's going to throw the ball up. Must be a bit soft out there. A little bit of rain over the last couple of days. Ball goes far as Cotter. Cotter gives it over the top to Stevens. Now he's a runner. He'll back himself. He comes inside with his right leg. Beautiful vision shown by Stevens. Kicked on forward. Out in front again. Looks like Hicks. Hicks takes it. Umpire indicates he has to play on. He came around over his mark. He brings the ball forward to Coffey. Good use of the body. The back there is War. Along with him is Rubenik. Out wide again. That player is Reid. He's covered a fair bit of ground. Inside is Corns. His first touch for the afternoon also. Corns comes inside again. Out wide. Player and Jep. So Jep tries to get a little bit too clever. Finessing a little bit too much. He can't afford to do it out here. Coming inside again. This is Matty Jones. Should set it up. He doesn't. And Rowan War, the Tigers, cleans up.
Yeah, War's, he's got too much pace for Coffey, and unless Coffey gets the ball in the air, and Reid's collected the ball on the outer side of the ground.
Yes, Reid goes long out there underneath that one. Visca, who played, what, his 100th game last week?
Yes, he did. Marvellous Glenelg steward, and of course Crows player as well.
3 weeks ago, in fact. Rubenik, midfield, calls for a lead. Now, Corns was called short, but goes long. Now, Kretschmer. Now, that eye injury really hurt him a few years back, but he's a tough player, and so's this fellow, Burke. Greatly improved.
Yeah, Burke's from up at Shepparton or Tatura in the Golden Valley League, and he's been, you know, the toughness that Glenelg's been looking for.
He's certainly given them that. A long ball to the square. Packer player develops. Otten's one-handed loose ball falls. Snap for goal over the top was Tamblin, but no scores. Scotty Lee defends it out wide. Cotter at half-back marks, plays on quickly. Now Steinburner, but the ball's been... Oh, no, I thought it was called back. Play on, said the umpire. The advantage allowed to flow, and shorter still, it's Holm.
So Holm just settles it down a little bit. He's going to play loose if he wants to use him. He goes that way to McGowan. McGowan's got runners everywhere. He finds Cook. Cook has a good mark out in front. Got the running Stevens there. They'll set it up here also. He goes wide. It's a chance for Coffey to take it. He does on the chest. A little bit too easy for the Bulldogs.
Now, we were critical 2 weeks ago at Richmond Oval about Grant Coffey's kicking. He did kick 5 goals for that day after 5-4 the week before, and he has 15 goals, 11 for the year.
Grant Coffey, he just snuck in around about 10 metres while the umpire wasn't looking. He just straightened his angle up a little bit better. So Coffey, his first kick for the afternoon. The cameras are right behind. You can see that. Didn't deviate at all. He brings up his first goal for the afternoon and just extends his Bulldog lead.
Yes, and another example of reverse psychology when you're tipping whether players will tip goals. But look, once again, we had a case where Holm got loose in the back line. He speared it off to Potter. And, you know, if you give him too much space, McGowan, sorry, and you know, McGowan with space is a very dangerous player.
Don't get me wrong about Coffey, Ben. I'm a big rap for his talent. It's just that his ball drop has been ordinary. That time he stayed right over it, and the kick was a beauty. There's a fight on behind play.
Corns a fight down there, David. Just noticing that Stewie Jew's got 2 players down him. He's trying to pick up Chad Corns. At the same time, young Tamlin's trying to pick up Jew.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Good tactics. Raiders tries to crash through. Ducks gets one high.
Well, the average age of those 3 players is around about 17.9, I think it is.
They haven't learned how to fight yet, Mark, have they?
I think they know a bit about it, Glenn. Geister got it from Conway. The long ball. This is where the Bulldogs are doing well. They're going direct. Long ball. Jones missed it at the back. It's Jet mopping up nicely. Upended as he got away to kick was Brooks. Forward goes Arnold. Now into space. Cook. He is a true runner, this kid. Getting better all the time. And it's a beautiful kick off the boot. What a great finish that was. And he's got 2 already. What a big day for him.
Yes, it's that. It's really Glenelg when they struggle through the. Struggle to take the ball into the forward line with any system. Quick turnover, and once again the Bulldogs with well, consummate ease in the finish, just finished the ball off, and Cook is a marvellous player on his left foot.
You just see there on screen. Young Timmy Cook, the applause from his teammates sitting in the bunker at the moment. Down the boundary, Rob Popplestone, what do you have for us?
Charlie, geez, it's quite evident down here, boundary level, that the half-back, centre line and even the full-back line are really running hard for this central side, and really some lazy players in the half-forward line, full-forward line for Glenelg are causing problems for their defenders, because this big ground, central districts are really exposing those players that aren't disciplined to man up, especially when they lose possession of the ball.
Rob Popplestone.
We're just noticing down there, Poppy, that the ground is fairly soft. The umpire is throwing it up on quite a number of occasions. What's it like down there? We just lost Rob Popplestone there for a moment.
He does that, doesn't he? He's
Sure, he'll come back.
He's like those half-forward flankers. He drifts in and out.
The ball's knocked out over the boundary line. Central's a 30-point margin here. Just about to enter a time on. We see a couple of, what do they be called? Tiger supporters in their yellow ponchos.
Could they be anything but?
So Arnold in front, beautifully tapped down to his captain Gurdon. He's quick inside, he finds Hicks. Should have been a tackle there by the Bay player. Couldn't quite get to him. Again, Arnold butters up. Just needs to pick it up. He's too big, too clumsy. Still fighting for it. Gurdon's there, gives it to Cook. Cook a quick chip over the top to McGowan. McGowan gets hit fairly solidly by Brooks and should receive a 25-metre penalty. Players running in from everywhere to show their strength, to show their support for their teammates.
Now, no Mallee rule in South Australian football, Glenn.
It's just an expression of a few fellows just testing themselves there a little bit, David. But, yeah, look, there had to be a penalty. Brooks came in far too late, and, yeah, the penalty's well justified, and it'll result in a very simple goal to McGowan.
Now, we've been critical of the Mallee rule, but you've sat on the SANFL General Managers' meetings. What's their view on a Mallee rule?
Oh, David, I think it's a little bit delicate. It's a little bit delicate to try and do things like that. I mean,
He's still got the general manager's hat on, David, hasn't he? He's still sitting on the fence. He is.
No, I mean,
sitting on the fence.
It is an absolute soft decision to stop fellows from flexing their muscles and having. If you ever seen 2 fellows actually end up having a stand up and keep going on, they don't. They sort it out themselves. I'm not condoning punching, but I mean, a lot of these melees, as we've become accustomed to, I think a little bit overrated as far as the damage it does to the game. It's not on.
So McGowan brings up his first goal for the afternoon. They just extend their lead to the Bulldogs. They go to a 36-point margin. And other games around the state today, we got the Eagles and West at Adelaide Oval. West by 8 points. Down Noarlunga, down at Windy Hill, South Adelaide and North. North to Adelaide by that 2-goal margin still. We see Centrals are going through home. They're going forward. This is Dew. He pushes it up high. Hicks is there, just using his body beautifully. Takes it, should receive the free kick. Again, Brooks and Thompson, his immediate opponent, couldn't quite get to him. It's a little bit too strong, was Hicks. Good mark taken
What a
up
catch.
there by Ford. Good grab, wasn't that? That's Wakeland, who normally plays on either centre half back or on a half back flank. There's Wakeland. Today he's moved into the forward line. Look at the grab there.
He is capable of playing both ends of the ground, isn't he? But gee, when he's on song, he's a dangerous fellow up forward.
He had that haircut a couple of weeks ago. We just see there what we're calling before. We've got Corns and Dew, and also 49 and Tamlin. Just flexing their muscles. But Wakeland goes back. Fairly acute angle. I think he's put this through. Wait for the umpire. I think he's happy with it. The umpire's happy with it also.
Yes,
that's Wakeland's first goal for the afternoon.
I know it just seems like a repetitive comment, but the Glenelg midfielders and half forwards have really got to come to terms with the loose ball, because the turnovers have happened over and over again, and it's just translated into relatively easy goals for the Central boys once they've got forward of centre.
Wakeland 1-1 as we go back to the middle. 8-3, what a big quarter for the Bulldogs, their best this year. 25.5 minutes in, they're 8-3-51. Glenelg 1-3-9, and the Bays need a quick response as we prepare to go into quarter time. McLean got there, but Jones thumped it down. Raiders got through traffic, or Rubenik it was, got the kick away through half forward. Good spoil Cotter. Loose ball falls. Harada feeds it out now. Cotter doing well in this opening quarter. A long ball towards centre half forward, and Hicks takes the mark. Very few players have comprehensively beaten Ben Thompson in the fashion that Hicks has today in this first quarter. A long ball forward. Wakeland skirts around, chips it in short. A long ball, and Hicks has got it again. He looks to play on, does so now. Jimmy Wind around the corner. It's going to drop short, but it's well shepherded by Coffey, and it's another one to the Bulldogs. They've got 9 on the board.
Well, Dave, it's been absolutely champagne footy from Central Districts, and if you look at the stats, I mean, they've had probably twice as many kicks. I think 58 kicks to about 34. The scoreboard says it all at this stage, and Glenelg have really just got to knuckle down. I mean, this has some very dangerous signs here when you're 8 down at quarter time at Centrals.
Great opening quarter by the Bulldogs. A few blokes limping out there at the moment too, with the black and yellow jersey on. But down the boundary line, Rob Popplestone.
Interesting duel happening between two young fellas in Jed Corns and also for Central District's Stuart Dew. Stuart Dew's obviously got the job of putting Jed Corns off his game. He's doing quite a good job. But James Tamplin for Glenelg, he's forcing his body in between those two, and don't be surprised if it comes to fisticuffs before half-time.
Again, Central's just taking charge. 25 there is Matty Jones. Picks it up forward, nearly taken there by Arnold. Centrals have got runners everywhere, just streaming down going forward. Plus their forwards are in total charge as well, with Wakeland and also Hicks taking some strong marks, and Coffey as well in there. The Bays need some fire, they need some run at the moment. They go forward again, everything seems to be rushed at the moment. Tasker takes it. He's got Raiders alongside him, decides to go more direct. That's a better play by the Tigers. This is Tasker under a fair bit of pressure. Ends up with Cotter.
Cotter from half-back. A high ball, Stevens front position, Corns from behind. Got there right on time. Goes hard at the ball. Stevens comes back. 4 players on top as we go down to Rob Popplestone on the boundary again.
Thanks for that, DB. Look, they've got real huge problems here, Glenelg. And when I mean huge, I mean they're huge men are falling like flies. The second big one to go at the moment is the ruckman Andrew McLean, who replaced the injured Wayne Thornborough. So Alan Bartlett for Glenelg will come on again. And
presumably do the ruck work. McCulley, of course, played in the reserves today. Normally they use him as their spare ruckman, or even often their first. So Glenelg are going to struggle in the big man department. Bartlett on. It's gone straight to half forward. Cops a shepherd from Geister as a Raider runs across the face. Now it's Stevens out wide in space. He's just running away with the ball. In fact, all the central midfielders are. Through half forward, it's Hicks again in front of Thompson. Gee, really is having an off day, Benny Thompson, today. He's been a star last season or so. No free kick there, said the umpire, but Ben Thompson, Glenn looks dead on his feet.
But David, in fairness to him, the ball is just coming down at the rate of knots through the midfield. It's just making it impossible for the Glenelg defenders at the moment.
Just seeing screen there, David. We've got Thornborough with a not a very pleased
McLean being off as well,
and also McLean being off. It's not a good sign for the Tigers. The ball goes forward again. Wakeland jumped a little bit too early, just couldn't quite read it properly. Burke back there, he's been one of the better players for the Tigers in this first quarter. Fairly cool, fairly controlled under a fair bit of pressure down there. Goes out wide. This is Thompson. onto his left leg, kicks it up forward. Visca takes a big jump from behind over the top of Stevens. Bartlett round his body. As we hear, the first quarter is over.
And at 48-point margin in favour of the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of the, it's not one of the most popular, it's one of the most feared visits for any club, Mark, to come out here, but to be 8 down at quarter time, it's an incredible ask to get back from there. But you know, Glenelg, the old footy addicts, they've got to go back to basics and just find their men, because until they get some, you know, find some accountability amongst their midfielders and to stop this ball just rebounding, it has all the earmarks of an absolute thrashing. But of course, we've seen turnarounds before, and it doesn't necessarily work out that way. But at this stage, Glenelg have got a well, what can only be described as a hell of a lot of work to do to get back into the game. But you know, trailing 9 points to 57 at this point in time, and with both their big men, you know, in trouble at this stage, with Thornbury and McLean hobbling off. It's just interesting that it took so long for a player like Alan Bartlett to come on.
So at the end of the first quarter here at Elizabeth, Central District's in total charge at the moment. There's thousands of people streamed on. Most of them are Central District supporters onto Elizabeth Oval. Central District's a 9 goals 3, 57. Glenelg a 1 goal 3, 9. And you're sitting at home watching this live on ABC Sport.
.48 points to the margin here at quarter time at Elizabeth Oval, and one of the players who's been instrumental in setting it all up for the Bulldogs is Rick McGowan, who plays in the middle. He's 26 years of age. He won the best and fairest last year for the Bulldogs, and today we profile Rick McGowan.
I don't really have time to relax, too busy. I'll play tennis, cricket, a bit of table tennis, all sorts. I don't know about first game, but it would have been with Dark Peak, which is a team over on the West Coast. Probably when I was about 5-year-old in mini colts. I don't think I got too many kicks, but it was good fun. I'd have to say father, because he has been watched most of my games from a young age, and he's been good support. Memory, well, it'd have to be the last 2 grand finals, I'd say. Not that they're good memories, but that'd be one that sticks to mind most. Outside of football, to be a successful farmer. Most inspirational would have to be Scotty Lee, because he continually does good work week in, week out. Obviously, to win a flag for Centrals. Yeah, the passion's there. I enjoy the mateship involved in football, and yeah, I think it's been the same all the years through.
No coincidence, is it at all, that when Rick McGowan's playing well, the Bulldogs are certainly playing well. I wonder whether he can get them into another grand final this year, 3 in a row. The way he's going, perhaps you'd suggest that maybe he does. Well, in the first quarter, there were some highlights, and we saw an interesting point, an interesting goal, and an interesting hip and shoulder amongst them. And here's Stevens shooting for goal. Off hands. Now, that hit the point post, that one. But given a point. What's your decision at home? Now, for mine, when it hits the point post, it's out of bounds. Here's a great goal. Great snap for goal. Hicks. And Hicks is terrific, isn't he, around the corner. That was an inspirational goal. That was the one, really, that got the Bulldogs all fired up. Cook comes in board. Brooks comes in late. And a 50-metre penalty responds, and the Mallee rule, not applicable in South Australia, thankfully, but certainly the 50-metre penalty applies there. Well, you'd suggest that one of the things that the Bulldogs will need to do is just keep doing more of the same as we go down to Rob Popplestone on the boundary.
Thanks for that, DB. Yes, look, the Glenelg.
Well, we've lost him down there on the boundary. I think one of those Persky people on the boundary line have run over our line, so we might go back to him later in the show. 48 points the margin here, and goal kickers. The Bulldogs have had individually 6 different goal kickers. The Glenelg side, 1 goal kicker, and therein lies the problem. The Glenelg side have got a lot of young players, and we heard from Wayne Stringer before the show saying that he'll go with them and he'll keep going with them. And one of the things about having a young team, isn't it, that we've got some problems just with consistency, and today the Glenelg side really aren't firing up. In other matches around town today, one of the other matches, the Eagles and West Adelaide, there's a quarter-time score. The Eagles' woes continue. They're 1-3-9. West Adelaide 3 goals for 22. South Adelaide 4-2-26. They've been playing some good football this year. North Adelaide really improving under McDermott, a 6-2-38. That's the quarter-time score at Noarlunga Oval. And don't forget tonight, Port Adelaide take on Sturt, the curtain raiser to tonight's Port Power match down at Football Park. And as we go to our quarter-by-quarter scores, it's 9-3-57 Central District, 1-3-9 Glenelg. Goal scorers, Hicks has a couple, Cook has a couple, Wine, Wakeland and Coffey have one each, and Tamblin has one for the Tigers. As we go to Mark and Glenn to walk us through the stats, fellas, you'd expect that the Bulldogs dominate the stats.
Yes, David. I mean, it's we've spoken about it repeatedly through the commentary, but if you look there, kicks, marks and handballs, I mean, Centrals have just got an absolute dominance all over the field at the moment. It's just translated onto the scoreboard. But Glenelg's mobile division, you look at the loss of players like Hill, who's out for the year, Chick Whitten, who tragically is out for a few weeks now, and it's just showing up time and time again. The players are getting hurt through you've already mentioned McGowan, Stevens, Holmes, an impressive player from Tasmania, hadn't seen him before, and of course Cook on that left foot is a very, very damaging. But best players for Glenelg, I mean, where do you find them? Pritchmer, War, maybe. That's about it.
We'll come back, Glenn, as we get underway with the second quarter here at Elizabeth Oval. Your commentators, Mark Nayley and Glenn Elliott.
You see the back of the screen, on the top of the screen there, those 4 players still huddled together, Corns. Colton, a few of the younger blokes still had their due as well. We see the big fella in Arnold, takes the ball out of the air, kicks the ball forward. This is Holm, who's been pretty exciting so far in this game. We need a big lift. They need a score, does the Tigers. This has to be their quarter. Ball's put up. Ottens just ducked his head at the last moment. Should have taken that mark. Bartlett's in there also. He now needs to lead by experience. A couple of experienced players there, and Visca and also Bartlett. They're the ones that need to steady this ship.
Yes, it's certainly the experienced players have really got to stand up for Glenelg at the moment, and as you said, Mark, steady the ship and just give the club some guidance again.
So just out in front of the stand, the ball's thrown in. Ottens from behind, up against the big fella in Arnold. Player Pierce thrown up by Visca. He just throws him to his boot, didn't even get his hands to it. The Raiders nearly there as well. Raiders also. Bartlett for the Bays is there. Good tackle by Bartlett on McGowan. That's not a good sign, is it?
No, it's terrible. McLean limping along there, and of course the youngster Ryan Eagle, who's in his first game. So
young Ottens gets his hands to the ball. Got a fairly big job ahead of him now as young Bradley Ottens. With both the other big fellas and Wayne Thornborough going off very early.
That is a big
10-minute mark at that first quarter. And also McLean, who came on to replace him, going off. We just saw him on the screen before.
As the ball comes back into play, and Wakeland going down to the change rooms. We might get Rob Popplestone to check on what's going on with him. Bartlett missed it. Conway flicked it out wide to Cotter. Now, this is where Conway just struggles down low, but he gets support from Scotty Lee. Scotty Lee with a big handball. Cotter did very, very well. Out to Geister. Natural left footer, swings it and punches it long and low. Steinburner gets the run of the ball, and look at him with blistering pace. He's left his opponents by about 15 metres. Touches the ball to ground, has time to go through half forward, chips it in long and high, and Coffey almost got there, the big man, and could have completed just a spectacular mark. Coming away with it smart through looking for Burke. Missed the target on this occasion, and Burke's down behind play. Stevens, a right footer. Out wide, Jones tries to smother it. The ball just kept bouncing forward. Now needs support, doesn't get it. Over the top, yes, he does. It's Girdham, the skipper. Chips it in short, out on the lead and running hard at the ball's McGowan just inside the line, but can't quite keep it in. And the boundary umpire indicates he'll have a throw.
Yeah, there's certainly a couple of hard clashes there, and a little bit of a worry when Alistair Burke got up limping from that clash, but he's okay, and Glenelg could ill afford any more injuries at this stage.
Just surprised me, the captain, Roger Gurdon's only had one kick this afternoon. Very impressive first quarter by the Bulldogs. Ball's brought down again. Young player there, and Jep. Couldn't quite pick it up. The conditions are a little bit slippery there. Kretschmer just backs himself. Eyes over the ball, straight through the middle. He's got a runner outside. That's Burke. Forward again. Tasker from behind. He's getting front. Let's try. It looks like he's been moved out the centre half forward. The Sean Tasker.
Well, Glenelg desperately needs some movement through that half-forward line. It's been absolutely atrocious so far, so hopefully he can add some lift there.
Yes, he's not had a lot of football this year. In fact, had virtually no football this year, Glenn.
No, none whatsoever, and you know, he'll take time to find his, regardless of his preparation. But there's Stevens, flicks it over to Cook.
Yep, and on they go, the Bulldogs through Lee to half forward. Jimmy Wine recovers, gets through traffic. Good smother by Corns. It was very well done, and picks up a free kick for being held but not in possession. The advantage allowed to fly.
Young Compton.
Yeah, Compton. Kick forward, McGowan, dispossessed. Play on, said the umpire. McGowan flicks it out to Cook. Flicks one wider still. Scotty Lee, it's a stroll in the park for Scotty Lee. He's in complete control. Short to Girdham. Out wide is Cotter. That's ignored. Wider still is Jones. 2 steps at it, missed it. Recovers, going to ground and doing pretty well in the contest was Trent Riley.
It's young Jeff. I mean, there's been a little bit of a problem there with number 58. I don't think he was listed as that, was he, David?
No, he wasn't. He's listed as 43, Glenn.
Yeah, it's Shane Jeff.
You'd think we'd have recognised him by now, though, to be fair to him.
Well, we won't give his stats to anybody else. We'll make sure they go to him.
Fair enough. Burke, hurry kick forward. Visca just not able to take the half volley. Burke gets through, takes one from home. Gretschmann needed support, didn't have it. Well done, Arnold, flicks it forward, and look at this, it's all working.
Yeah, what a marvellous kick under pressure. He just took his time and found space, and his execution was excellent.
Now, Geister, if I'm right, is playing at full back or a back pocket. And he'll kick for goal from 40 metres out directly in front. Recruited back this year from North Melbourne by the Power. Playing by his original club. It's coming home for him. Hasn't played for the Power this year. And has, 2 career goals in 44 games. So he doesn't kick a lot of goals. Takes his time now. Stays over it. It's a beautiful kick off the boot. And they've got their 10th, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, what a marvellous kick from outside 50 to measure the kick. But just back there early in play, I think Scotty Lee's influence in footy in South Australia full stop is just sensational, and he's just a great example to any young man that don't panic whilst you've got the footy, and when Scotty Lee's got it, Centrals, they just are in total control of the game.
54-point margin here, Elizabeth Oval. Really is blowing out. Only early into the second quarter, 6-minute mark precisely. Again, we see the ball going up. The big fella in Ottens. The bottom of that pack there, that looked like Pearce dumped to the ground. Wasn't too happy with the attention that he received. That was Holm, the bloke who laid the tackle. So again, we see the umpire bounce the ball in the middle of the ground. Arnold up against Otten, coming through as McGowan. Quick hands to Lee, that player we just spoke about. Great vision shown by Lee. The runners again. This is Cook. Chips the ball forward. Coffee from behind. Good work shown by Wall there to get front position. At the back was Green. Couldn't quite bring it back far enough.
Yeah, it was a kick under some pressure, and a goal from there would have been an exceptional result. But you know, Central District's into their 50 22 times against Glenelg's 11, and the scoreboard surely shows it at this stage.
It's a fair stat, that, isn't it?
Yep.
What a long ball. It's a beautiful kick. Thompson's the target. Destroys from behind, brings it down to ground. Reid couldn't get clear. Claimed in the tackle by Girdham. Girdham is special at that. Excuse the use of somebody else's expression. McGowan to Stevens, and through half forward it's Green again, finding plenty of space. Run down by Thompson, under pressure, still gets it away, but look at this, it's Coffey. Point blank range directly in front.
Dave, I mean, we're really just talking about the same thing over and over again. I mean, there is just absolutely no pressure forward of centre, and Green once again had just so much time, and you give an SANFL player of some quality a little bit of time to look where he's going to dispose of it, and the result's inevitable.
1 goal straight for Grant Coffey today. 5 goals, 4 in each of the last 2 matches. 16 goals for the year, and if he stays over this one, he couldn't possibly miss it. And he does so. It's a magnificent kick. He stays down beautifully and splits the centre. It's his second.
Well, it's a good effort from Coffey, isn't he? I mean, he went out and coached up in the Barossa Valley League last year, and not many players have the courage to come back to SANFL football after, giving it their best shot. And and not quite measuring up, I suppose. That's he still carries the word potential on his shoulders, I think, and but that was a great kick.
At 30. I think he's gone beyond potential, don't you?
Well, some people carry it to their grave.
There's a big margin here. Elizabeth Oval, but there's other games being played around the state this afternoon. We'll just get a quick update to see how those games are going. At Adelaide Oval, we've got the Eagles in the West. West just hanging on to a 13-point margin. Down Noarlunga. The trees are yet to grow. North by 12 points.
What about the expression on Jimmy Wine's face then?
Now, listen, I need to take you to task. I mean, a player cannot... Some players never reach their potential. I don't care whether they're 30, 31, 28, 17. Whether they reach to maximise their abilities is the important thing. But so I rest my case.
Get into him, Glenn.
Yes.
I'm on your side.
Thank you.
See the ball going forward again. Centrals. How many times we've called that this afternoon? The Bay back line is under extreme pressure. Good work showing there. This is War. Been pretty cool. The ball coming to the forward line a few times. He placed his kick forward. Tasker from behind. He's got to get in front. Looking at players coming at him at the moment. And Stevens should receive the free kick from Tasker.
Yes, he will. He'll take it from half-back. Look at the movement. The Bulldogs are running deep from defence. They're just opening up pockets everywhere.
They're playing with confidence.
Yes, they are. Cotter wide, who's been terrific. 10th kick for Stevens, a couple of handballs. He's finding plenty of the ball. This is Cotter, 6 and 6, so he's finding plenty of it as well. Short to Geister, beaten on the half volley. Corns picks up the crumb and drills it towards centre half forward, but really didn't even get close to the target as Stewie Dew explodes away and blasts it out long. Hicks was the target, but short was Scotty Lee. Hicks recovers at the back under pressure from Thompson. Almost got the kick away. Ottens just flicked it out. That was a throw. Short to Brooks, and in turn, it's Visca who'll need to steady the ship for the Tigers from half back. Plays on quickly and just short of the target. Arnold dropped it in front of Bartlett. Tasker, very short of match practice. He can only get better from here. Burke swings inboard, gets support from Tasker. It was well run, Tasker, as he goes goalward, but off balance. It runs across the face of goal and out of play. Yeah, well, what an atrocious shot at goal. I mean, running into an open goal, player of his experience, should have been able to finish it off, and disappointing result for Glenelg. I mean, I thought Centrals are getting a little bit lax in, a little bit clever, a little bit for Stevie Wright. It'll be worrying at the moment. He wants direct football played at this stage.
This could be a game where the Bulldogs should really improve their percentage. They can just keep focus on the task at hand. We see the players coming out. McGowan just puts the ball beautifully out in front of Holm. Holm takes it, very quick to his feet. He plays on. Disposes of the ball a little bit poorly. In there is Jones. Got support there by Green. Green quick to his boot. That was good work shown by Green. Kicks it forward. Hicks got the ball on the string this afternoon. Just lost it then. Out wide is a Raider. Got time to sit down and have a cup of tea and a scone if he wants to. Kicks it up forward to Hicks again. War really has been one of the better players I said again, but he's just got too many Bulldog players running past him. That's Hicks again. He picks up his third goal of the afternoon.
Well, Mark,
Bulldogs are just in too much control.
20-minute mark of the second quarter thereabouts. I mean, it's a slight on us to be talking about percentages, but it really is a terrible-looking picture for Glenelg at the moment. And the thing you highlighted there was Centrals just have so much time, and you know, it's hurting Glenelg all over the track. Now, you're not a general manager anymore, but you wouldn't do a Joe Gutnick if you were, would you? Now, you want to make some decisions on coaches at the moment, do you?
We'll put you on the hot seat. Actually, we might ask you about what sort of job Wayne Stringer's been doing. How's the attitude around the club, and how's he sort of rated? Oh, look, I think, David, in fairness, Mark hit it on the head there a minute ago when he's talking about as Tamlin brings the ball out. He was talking about the aspects of its read onto Biscuit. Too slow, player under pressure yet again. But the club's playing without confidence. And Scotty Lee, and we talk about that pressure aspect, spears it out to the half-back flank, and Centrals are out of trouble. But confidence is the marvellous aspect of footy. Unless you've got it, you look terrible, and that's what Glenelg look like at the moment. Yeah, nicely avoided that response. Now, what was the question? How's he rated?
A couple of Glenelg players hit each other then. One's down with Thompson. The other player, I can't quite pick him up. Thompson.
Oh, dear, we've got Jep down there and Thompson, both
Jep
players.
came through very, very hard, but he's hit his own teammate on the way through. They can ill afford to lose another 2 players with leg injuries, because unfortunately their bench is really stretched at the moment.
Particularly a guy like Benny Thompson, who is just last year's best and fairest winner, instrumental in holding the Glenelg defence together so far this year.
David, he's had a fantastic year so far, but there's Jep getting interfered with at the boundary throw. A minor little square up, but he comes away with the free kick.
So Jep from half back pushes it high, a difficult one for any forward to take. It comes to ground. McGowan off in turn.
Thompson's player there, Hicks, just by himself. He's got a panic to run into if he wants to, David.
Thanks, I could see what you were pointing at, and he gets his 4th. Big day at centre-half forward for Hicks as Thompson comes off the oval.
Yeah, well, that's another great goal to Centrals, but right at this stage we can't measure how well Centrals are playing, because the opposition at the moment is pretty paltry, I've got to say that. As Thompson limps off the oval, and that's a terrible, terrible blow. But
Shane Jep as well, he's limping as well at centre, round about centre half back flank he's on. He's in trouble at the moment. Glenelg got no players on the bench to bring back on, so they can't afford now to lose anybody else with a leg injury.
No, what a day Hicks is having. Fantastic display.
13-4 to 1 goal 3. Glenelg haven't kicked a goal since early in the first term. We're 14, almost 15 minutes into the second quarter. Loose ball goes to Jew. Flicked it out from Hereda. And look at the run. Jones flicks it forward. Oh, the ball's on a string for Hicks today. He's 60 out, chips it in short. War is first there, flicks it out further still. Target was Tasker, who's followed the ball down. Jones paddles it forward. War tries to clean him up. Tasker comes in for support, but it falls to Hicks again. He just has the ball on a string today. Steinburner, short, and Coffey. And the big man's got a couple, and at 30 might be living up to his potential.
Thank you very much, David, for that delightful remark. Well, it's short of half-time, so if he ends the day with 2, I'd hardly say he's had a glorious outing. But in Coffey's favour, I've got to say that he's given Central some focus. I mean, he's up there. He's a big fellow, what, 6'4", 6'5" in the old.
Come on, Glenn, you and I would get a kick out there this afternoon.
I'd
kick 3 or
Mark,
4.
I saw an earlier video, and I'm not so sure that you'd get selected.
It gets very easy from here. Coffey just didn't stay over that one. It's interesting. We've talked about how he can stay over it. He just came off that one, drags it, 1 point.
Well, it's a sad state of affairs here. Not if you're a Central supporter, of course. Their display to date has been magnificent. From Glenelg's point of view, I guess you've got to learn to lose before you learn how to win in some ways. Some people gain credence out of that, but this is not a good way to go about it.
So War just pushes the ball forward to Burke. They need a score. Been a long while since they kicked their last goal. We might just get David Mackay to go back through his record and just find out when it was in that first quarter. Again, they go forward. The Bulldogs. Kicks it up high. Couldn't quite pick that player up. It's gone over the top. Looked like it could have been Steinberger. I think it was Steinberger. Yes, it is. The facing screen. Nathan Steinberger. He picks up his first goal for the afternoon. And Central's now 14 goals, 5, 89 to Glenelg, 1 goal, 3. Just a solitary 9 points. It's an 80-point margin here at Elizabeth Oval.
Yes, well, it's right at this stage, Glenelg have only got one thing to play for, and that's some respectability and some credibility in their supporters' eyes. At this stage, the match is gone.
Oh, the general manager's made the... Sorry, the ex-general manager's made the call.
Did you jump off ship quick, Glenn?
I'm an ABC employee today, thank you.
Yeah, getting paid by us, correct. McGowan out to Hereda, who has been, I suppose, the backbone of Central's defence over the last year or so. Stevens just reaching for that one, couldn't quite get there. Stolen away by Green, the former Carlton and Swan player. Started on the interchange bench, goes forward, good pressure. Visca is great at that, just applies plenty of pressure. Jones around the corner, just inside the line, bounces over, and there'll be a throw-in.
Yeah, really, two really tough players having a bit of a crack at each other, in Visca and Green, and it was a really good physical contest.
Now, I might just, you asked me, Mark, 7 minutes 40 seconds into the first quarter was when Glenelg kicked their goal.
Ball's thrown in the back to Jones. It's been a long while coming. He throws onto his boot. He's got players running again forward if he wants to. He's got him there. Clever work there. Green just puts it to the top of the square. The back of the pack is wind. He takes a mark, uncontested, on the 10-metre line. Dead in front and should bring up his first goal, second goal for the afternoon.
Glenelg tried to recruit this guy, didn't they, at one stage?
Yeah, Glenelg certainly were interested in Jimmy Wine, and what a fine little player he would have been if he'd ventured down the bay. But I think the Central's hierarchy had a little bit more at the bank at the time to entice Jimmy out here, and he's come back very well from a broken leg, and I think it was that kept him out. And very experienced player, but gee whiz, David, where do we go from here? I mean, there's this might sound a silly or a foolish thing to say, but you've probably seen more pressure at practice than this.
Yeah, well, I think now's the time for Wayne Stringer to bring out the old Stringer tactic of aggression and meanness.
Look, I mean, this is a coach's nightmare, and Wayne knows he's got a a hard path to hoe, and he'll pull some positives out of it.
15-5 to 1 goals 3, and 19.5 minutes into the second term. As other matches around the ground, West Adelaide and the Eagles. It's West Adelaide by 37 points, a big blowout against the Eagles. South and North at Noarlunga, it's North by 26 points. And in the other match tonight, it's Port and Sturt. And that kick will be reversed.
Yeah, it'll be reversed. Mark Visker's really...
well, tell us about this, Glenn.
Well, I just thought that Mark may well have fended him off a touch more strongly than he should have, and maybe the video shows that.
Okay, the free kick wasn't reversed. Ottens, big fellow, big future. Jeb, we've got him right. Through half forward. Now, there's nobody there for a big fly, is there? Two little blokes forced into going at that ball. One of them was Josh Compton, and Jones on the end of that.
Now, listen, David, the umpires have probably been listening to you. You wanted a good, hard, tough contest. Well, they've certainly listened to you before this match, haven't they?
Played right into Central's hands.
Yeah.
Bulldogs love it when it's tough.
Well, I reckon Coach Wright could take off about 3 or 4 players, maybe even 5 players at the moment, and I think the Bulldogs will still be in total control. Mightn't be a bad move. Rest a couple of these star players next week.
Now, come on, Mark. Let's not get too flippant about it. The Tigers have got to fight back and show a bit of heart and soul here, but gee, exhibitions like this do incite a few frivolous remarks from commentators when we sit up in the stand like this.
So there's Raiders. Didn't execute that kick too well. And Mark's taken the back there by the big fella in Conway. Looking to give the handball. Goes back left leg. He's going to play it short, which he uses. That's Cotter. So Craig Cotter just steadies the ship, goes a bit wider. Good lead. The players and Chalmers, who came on before. Good quick hands by Steinberner. Runs inside, back to Steinberner. He'll back himself. He goes around Ottens with ease. Steinberner chips the ball forward and finds Jimmy Wine. So Wine, 2 players inside. Cookie's run down. Out wide of game. We've got, looks like Holm. No, it's not. It's Green. It's covering a fair bit of ground. That's Green. Looks like Green. No, it's not. A Steinberger who's run down from the half-back flank. He started the ball about 100 metres before that.
Now, you haven't
good work by Nathan Steinberger.
You haven't called him Steinberger today. I was waiting for it.
Green over the Cook. Cook's run the 150 metres as well. He'll just chip this over the top. Brings up his. Go to my record book. Brings up his first of the quarter, but he's third for the game.
And isn't he, obviously over the years I haven't had a chance to have a look at Centrals from a totally objective position like this, but Cook is really an exciting player, and when he gets the ball on his left foot there, he's a real goal sneak, and any place inside 50, and he's danger.
Now, if you're a Glenelg fan and you were thinking about turning off at half-time, don't. Stay with us, because we get a chance to have quite a chat with Stephen Kernahan, one of Glenelg's favourite sons, who was home last weekend having a testimonial at the Grand. And we caught up with him Friday night after the Carlton Power game. He had some very interesting things to say about life and football in general. Free kick inside the 50 area. Centrals have offended. And Ottens.
Glenelg clearance.
Out of the middle. Not too many of those. Centre breaks. This will be the 9th. In fairness, they haven't fallen down. It's 9 to 11. So they've got the ball out of the middle okay, Glenelg. They just haven't been able to push it into their forward line. Cotter, short, Stevens, running hard. He's played probably his best game for the season today, finding plenty of the ball. Kick number 12 for him, and this fellow's got the ball on the string. Best player already for the Bulldogs is Hicks. He's kicked 4, has dominated centre-half forward and dominated a very good player in Thompson. I think that's what makes the stat so impeccable.
Yes, well, Thompson had certainly been Glenelg's form player along with Thornburg at the start of the year, and here we are, what, at the 23-minute mark, and both those players were off the ground, and certainly Hicks' form has been outstanding.
Large crowd here at Elizabethvale enjoying this. The majority of them would be the Bulldog supporters. Good flick over the back there. That was Arnold. Some hands in quick by the Bay players here. They're trying to get rid of it. This is Raiders around his body. Goes a bit of a run, backs himself over the top of Kretschmer. Gives it back to Raiders. Raiders looking for a bit of movement forward. Got Bartlett. He's hardly seen the football this afternoon. 16 there is Darren Reid. Be a bit of a foot race on here. Reid up against Cotter, and also out coming strong as the Bay player. Just knocks the ball forward. Number 52.
Yeah, little Ryan Eagle.
Eagle.
He showed great courage there to actually attack the ball in the face of 3 or 4 oncoming Central Districts players.
So again, we see the ball thrown in on the half-forward line for the Tigers. They need a score before half-time. That's Reid again around his body. This ball again, once again, should go out of bounds, which it does.
Yes, well, it's a sad state of affairs at the moment, and players like Alan Bartlett, Grant Rubinick have really got to rally the troops around them now and find a bit of spirit from within.
The ball comes back into play. The ball at least in the Glenelg forward zone, an opportunity for them to score. Bartlett comes 3 deep. Arnold wins the tap. It goes down to Jep. Rubinick in turn needs support, and it's Compton around the corner, but he's missed from point-blank range, little Josh. We haven't seen much of him, Glenn. Tell us a little bit about him.
No, well, Connor's an exciting young player. He comes from Millicent down in the southeast, and his stats this year have been terrific, and I really am surprised that he hasn't been able to find the footy on this big oval, but let's face it, like, he's a rover, and Centrals are just all over Glenelg like a rash at the moment.
So Jimmy Wynn finds it, gives it back to the running players. Geister just backing himself, maybe getting a little bit too fancy there. He gives it to the big fella in Conway. He just goes around, beautifully disposed as Conway. Again, we see the Bulldogs go forward at the back, fair shove there. And the Glenelg player should receive the free kick. That's Raiders. It's up against Jones. Raiders the recipient of that free kick. It goes up again. Number 34 is Pearce, the young 16-year-old. Is wider again. Tasker looks like he's been moved into the back lines. Corns comes out in the lead. A good mark taken by Chad Corns.
And Mark, wasn't that good to see actually Glenelg get through the centre and put a 40 to 50 metre kick deep in the forward line and give their forwards an excellent chance. Yeah, forward had young Cornsy, Chad had room to move, and he's a chance to bring up Glenelg's second goal.
So Chad Corns will kick from about the 15 metres. And a young fella, will he make the distance as yet? He really gives it a good hike. I think he has. I think he's brought up his first goal for the afternoon. The Bay second, yes, he has. The umpire indicates 6 points to be registered. And Chad Corns, good mark and good goal.
Yeah, that was an excellent goal for Chad. I mean, under real pressure on a long kick, and to be able to kick truly from that distance. And it was really good to see the rest of the players go and give him a, you know, I guess a vote of appreciation for securing that goal. But here's the forward thrust on TV again, and fantastic kick from Tasker, and Corns on full gallop, marked and then goal.
50 minutes of football for the Tigers without a goal as we go back to the middle. The margin reduced now to, 85 points. Conway, a long ball to the outer side. Good stretch was Brooks. The left footer marks. Defensive side of centre. Chips it in short. Missing the target on that occasion. Pearce was the man he was looking for. Now it's Burke. Around the corner, Scotty Lee, man on man. Corns flicks it out. Jet snaps around the corner, goes to the unprotected goal. It's going to bounce across the face and through for 1 point.
Yeah, well, at least from Glenelg's point of view, a couple of positive moves there, and you know, troubling the scoreboard again, which is you know, it's been a long drought since the first quarter, but at least they've got their minds on the job.
Ball comes back in again. Central's really now only going at half pace. They realise the game. What's happened out here? Looks like a free kick has been given back at centre-half forward between a Raider
and Burke, I think.
It's a Burke, Alistair Burke. Must have just held him. A little bit of contact may have been made. So Burke, kick inside the 50. You get to kick a goal this afternoon. Goes back, kicks from about 45, directly out in front. I think he's made the distance. He has. The last couple of goals coming to the bays. One by Corns and one by Burke. That's Burke's first goal for the afternoon, and that's Glenelg's third.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually catch the infringement there, but once again, a really good kick from Alistair Burke there, 40-odd metres out, directly in front, where you'd expect them to convert, but all of a sudden it has to be done. But with the goal kickers there, Tamlin, Corns and Burke, a sorry tale for Glenelg, and of course for Central's there with Hicks with 4, Cook 3, Wynn 2, and Coffey.
78 points the margin, 29 minutes into the second term. Stay with us at half-time as we'll be talking with Stephen Kernahan, who we spoke with last Friday night. Crashing through was Brooks, missed it. Looked for the free kick. McGowan feeds it out to Steinburner. A high ball through half-forward. Jimmy Wine stretches, couldn't quite get underneath that one. Kretschmer, who's been solid today, gathers the ball at half-forward, but to no avail. As the siren sounds, it's half-time. Jimmy Wine wants to go on with it. It's 78 points as we go into the half-time break. Glenn, and what can Glenelg do in the second half?
David, the Glenelg plight now is really just extreme. I mean, the only thing that's left for Wayne String and the boys to try and achieve out of this is some credibility. Where do you find team spirit? Where do you find enthusiasm when you trail by in excess of 70 points at half-time? It's a coach's nightmare. It's a club's nightmare. From Central's point of view, Stevie Wright now would be, inwardly, he'd be ecstatic that his players have been so hard, so resolute. They've used every inch of the Elizabeth Oval, but his great problem, yes, with Graham Corns sitting there, no wonder he's still got that stern coach's face, hasn't he?
He sure has. So at half-time, it's Glenelg 3-5-23, trailing Central 16 goals, 5, 101. Stay with us for Stephen Kernahan at half-time. One man we're always happy to have on our team is Michael Noonan, who coached South Australia to a magnificent victory over the ACT last Sunday in Canberra. As always, he gives us a forthright view on football.
Well, last weekend, the South Australian National Football League ventured to Canberra to play the ACT in a very interesting state game. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to be involved with a very, very good bunch of lads who carried the colours extremely well. Over the past 4 or 5 weeks, though, it's given me an opportunity to have a look at the standard, the structure, and I guess the youth of the South Australian National Football League. I guess the reflection that over 50% of the Sandford team this year comprised of 28-year-olds or older. And even though they did an extremely good job, it was a little disturbing to find that there was an absence of that 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old coming through the ranks to lay claim to a place in a state team. Well, as you all know, for probably now 6 or 7 years, the Victorians in particular have been plucking through the draft the best of our youth. So much so that with the advent of Port last year, we lost just about every young man that was available. The impact of this on the Sandford competition is basically suggesting that it's getting older and, well, the influx of youth to make it and give it that little bit of sparkle has been missing.
And they're, well, I'm not sure that's entirely correctly, but there is a view around that a lot of the best players like Jarman and Scotty Lee are older players, but certainly we've got a lot of young kids coming through, but once they show something, they're gone in a minute.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great problems, David. We develop players, the outstanding kids are always going to go, and that's a problem for the SANFL in its own right. But it is important that the Jarmans and the Lees come back, and we've seen here today with Central Districts, with Scotty Lee having an outstanding influence on this game. So I think that the young kids, they've got to aspire to the next level, but this is then the level that they come to next.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Well, one of the best group of young men from South Australia is the Port Power squad. Last Friday night, it was Port Power taking on Carlton. Probably one of the premier games in the competition this year at AFL level, and certainly the one that all South Australians wanted to see. And you'd suspect that now, with their night games under their belt, that Port Power is one of the best night teams going around, particularly with some of their young runners. They were just magnificent, weren't they, Glenn, last week? They ran, Whitnell got a goal early and it looked like Carlton were going to lead the way, but the Power were just magnificent the way they fought back at ground level particularly.
Well, I mean, you talk about Port Power, and it's been talked about 100 times over since the inception this year about their spirit, but what Jack Carl's been able to do is introduce a spirit and a competitiveness, and you see these young fellows and capably led by a more aggressive Wanganeen, I must say, than I've seen in previous years too. They've been an inspiration to everybody who watches footy.
Now, Cotton, a Central District player, had to wait a few weeks for his opportunity, but he certainly hasn't let anyone down when he's played.
No, well, he's once a really hard footballer who really fits the Port mould, and I, for one, thought they'd have difficulties bringing the Port Adelaide culture into a new team, but they've been able to do it very successfully.
Franco's been good, Dickie's been good, Braden Lyle's been good, Wanganeen's certainly given them something, and we don't say it flippantly, but they are turning into one of the best night teams, one of the best running sides with their small men.
Well, I think if you talk night teams, I mean, they win at any time of the day, Port, and that's important, but who hasn't played well for Port, more importantly?
Everybody, haven't they? What about tonight? Port take on the Sydney Swans. Without Tony Lockett, the Swans have a lot of injury worries. Now, Port Power have had a flu epidemic go through the club this week, but nothing seems to bother them.
Oh, I think flu epidemics are really, what are they, gunning for a price now, are they? I think that it'd be a brave tipster in Adelaide that would tip against Port Power at this stage in the way the absolute fanatical desire they've got. They've now got a sniff of AFL finals in their first year, which is a staggering achievement. They won't let it slip tonight.
Well, what about the Crows and Fremantle last Monday night in Perth? And it was a holiday in Perth on the Monday, and that might have worked against the home side.
Well, if you look at what the Crows under Blighty have been able to do, and we see a bit of footage here, but the Crows were really under siege early in the season. Their injury list was longer than that they had, which the players they had available. And as soon as they got back, some of their running players, they've really looked, and there's Barty, who's really blossomed as a player. But the Crows are playing with the same infectious spirit, I guess, that even Port are playing with. And it's great for footy in this state at the moment to see the two AFL clubs being as successful as they are.
Now, Modra only got one goal. Stanford was out injured, and still the Crows forward line functioned pretty well.
Yes, well, I think that one thing that Blighty's got is they've got a structure, and we see Rotherham, who's been a revelation since he's come back. I mean, he is now showing fulfilling all the promise that he once had, and he's always shown. And look, they're in outstanding form as well, and it just augurs well for footy in this state at the moment.
Well, they've travelled pretty well. We've mentioned it. 1 point loss against Collingwood, then a win over the Western Bulldogs. Then they went and beat Richmond. They look pretty good, but Melbourne, on the other hand, had a big win over Richmond last week under Greg Hutchison. They look like they've renewed their spirit. They could be a dangerous proposition.
Now, you're telling me Melbourne are going to beat the Crows, eh?
No. Well, I'd hope not, but it is possible, isn't it?
No, I think, look, there's a great deal of maturity about our two AFL clubs, and particularly the Crows at the moment, in the manner in which they're going about playing their football in Melbourne. After all, as all coaches would insist, it's just another piece of grass with a line around it, isn't it?
Speaking about another man with a piece of grass around it, Mark Nailey sits on the boundary line every week, brings us hard as nails. This week, Mark, you've had a bit of a win.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a win. I wouldn't actually say a win, David. I'd just call it, well, the AFL this week have got their way. They wanted kids on footy park, they got it. Simple as that. Let's move on to the next question, please.
Oh, well, the next question is the ACT have put in a submission to have a side in the SANFL. You've got a bigger story than that going around. You teased it with us at the start of the show.
Yeah, I gave you a little bit of a tease. It's not all that cut and dry at the moment. My little birdie just whispered through me this week that possibly the AFL big knobs had a little bit of a say in what the ACT wanted to do. They wanted to come to South Australia. That's why we played the game. That's why they had a state game against our best players in the SANFL. But the AFL, once again, they've stamped their authority. They told and they demanded that the ACT don't join the SANFL. They asked them, or told them, to go and join the New South Wales competition. But they're not going to improve the footy. Now, what advantage is it to the ACT to go up to Sydney, which is a second-rate competition? The players and the players' standards just isn't good enough. They should have come to South Australia. That's what they've set their goal for. That's what they should have achieved.
Mark, I mean, really, when you... Sorry, David, but
No.
if you look at that, imagine the ACT flying all the way to Adelaide today, jumping on a bus, coming out here and playing at Central Districts. Do you really think that's going to better football in this state?
OK, fair enough. Back to Mark. Mark, I don't know where you get your information from, but certainly you seem to have the inside oil on all the AFL rulings, and you haven't been wrong too often. What about the this week? You've talked to us before today about the SANFL and the Crows sending out a letter to Football Park members.
Interesting to read that this week. I just saw a couple of little letters come through. Also, a little piece that was done in Footy Plus this week, which you had to read, which is from the Crows and also from the SANFL, just apologising to the supporters, especially the members, the Category 1 and 2 members, that that really couldn't find a seat come that Showdown 1, which was back in April. And we just see there some of the remarks that were made there. Some of these people had the view that the Adelaide Football Club will never have a sense of history or tradition, nor will they achieve an AFL success until they get that social facility, which to me is a little bit of a surprise. I mean, I'm one that sort of believes. There's another comment there also made that it should be recognised that our playing performances does not depend on whether we have a social club or not. I mean, look at the West Coast Eagles, which they're really sort of judging as their measuring stick. They haven't got a social facility. I remember when I was at Carlton, they didn't have a social facility also. They had a social facility, but they didn't need to go back to it on a regular basis. We went to a bar down the road or like either a restaurant or whatever just to have a drink after the game. But also another comment that was made in there also was that came from the Adelaide Crows, that over the last 7 years since the Adelaide boys have been in there, that they've put back nearly $1 million to each one of the SANFL clubs. Now that's, to me, especially in this sort of environment, especially the way that things have gone over the last 7 years, where it's been pretty tight to make ends meet, a lot of these SANFL clubs should really be, I reckon, supporting the Adelaide Crows and also Port Power a little bit better.
Right, I'll quickly put you on the spot, Mark. South Australia versus Victoria, State of Origin footy, June 21st. Are you a big supporter of it? Do you think it's going to live?
Well, the only way that we are going to make it live is we get bums on seat at Footy Park come the 21st of June. Now, I'm going to throw out the challenge right now to every South Australian out there. Get out of your lounge room's chair, pay a ticket, go down and see the best blokes, the best of the best down there at Footy Park on June the 21st. Wayne Jackson and his boys, I mean, they want to get rid of this State of Origin footy. To me, it's a great passion, a great love. I just love seeing the best play the best out in the country. So I'll put it to you again, the challenge is there. All you people sitting at home this afternoon, don't hesitate. Go down and book at Bass or book where you have to. If you're a member, make sure you're there come June the 21st. But last Friday night, David, I was out there seeing some of the better players from my old side at Carlton, and luckily enough, I just caught up with Stephen Kernahan, but you caught up with him also with a very interesting interview.
Sticks, congratulations. 18 years since I last saw you running around as a little kid in a Glenelg jumper. It's been a long journey.
Seems a long time ago now. A lot of water's gone under the bridge and a lot of footy, so it's been enjoyable all the way.
Do you ever think when you and Chris McDermott were bashing each other up in the backyard that your careers would be so long and so distinguished for both of you?
Yeah, well, I guess we did everything together as kids, and we played our league debuts together, our state debuts together, and we captained AFL clubs together, and we've sort of done everything and paralleled all the way. So I suppose we're destined to do a lot the same, I suppose.
Now, your dad Harry's a bit of a legend around the footy world. He's a great player himself, of course. He had a big influence on you and Chris, and that sort of impact, that positive role model must have been important in the early days particularly.
Yeah, well, Dad was footy director at Glenelg, and he was a good footballer himself and pretty respected in South Australia. And when Bone lost his mum and dad with cancer, we were pretty close to each other, and Bone and his family were sort of all big one family in the end. And I think Dad was a big influence on us. Did our contracts, he looked after us financially. He sort of did the whole lot there for a while.
Forward again, Johnston and Kernahan, 60 metres out, a long floater is through.
I first saw Stephen Kernahan in 1979 when I first started Carlton recruiting, and I travel Australia-wide looking for more Stephen Kernahans, and unfortunately players like Stephen only come along once in a while.
Well, how far away is that day when perhaps you'll come back to Adelaide?
Well, I've always said I'll come back. I've been saying that for 12 years now. I'm still living over there, and I like Melbourne, but my wife Jen, she's an Adelaide girl too, and we'd both like to get home and let our kids see our parents a bit more as they grow up, and that might be in 1 week, a year, 5 years or 10, but I'll be back one day for sure.
You likely to come back and play or perhaps coach?
No, I won't play. When I finish at Carlton, that'll be it. I won't be going into any. I'd love to go back and play at the Bay if they'd have me. I don't think I'd get a kick down there, but I'll just come home and just relax, play a bit of golf.
Out in front is Kernahan, and he marks on his chest.
Dad, did you know that we played golf quite often?
With Stephen?
Yeah.
Who won?
I always won.
And where?
I always won.
And where did you go after you won?
To Hungry Jack's.
Who organised that, to go to Hungry Jack's?
Stephen Kernahan.
Rumour circulating that maybe Barmy out, Kernahan in, like Barassi from Melbourne to Carlton. Is there a Kernahan from Carlton to Melbourne?
Geez, I haven't heard that one, David.
I've just given you that one.
Yeah, I thought you might have. Yeah, they're writing me off the plane already, but yeah, no, we'll see what happens with coaching. It's something, you won't know till you're in that position.
Have you been conscious of the records? You sort of look back ever? Do you take time to sit back and look at the records? The longest-serving Carlton captain. You've just broken Soapy Valence's record. And I remember when I was there sitting in the pub, Soapy used to tell me how good he was and how I should be kicking goals. Was he doing that with you too?
Yeah, he was. He's a jovial bloke. I met him a few times, and he's passed on, of course. And he's a bit of a larrikin, loved the beer, like most of us. And I guess if you play long enough, as I've said before, these records tend to come along. So. 33 years of age, I guess you've got to break something sooner or later.
Well, tell me, what means more? 8 All-Australians, the longest-serving Carlton captain, couple of premierships, 3 Glenelg best and fairest, 3 Carlton best and fairests. What won amongst that? Or perhaps missing a McGarry medal by being ineligible?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty easy question. My premierships, that's what I played for, 85 with the Bays, which was really special to me. We played with all my mates I've grown up with, and 87 to captain won a premiership in my first year as captain with Carlton was great, and especially fantastic was 95 when we'd been written off for so many years as too old and too slow to hold that cup up. I think they were the 3 standouts for me.
And perhaps a pity that it could well be the last game that we see of Stephen Kernahan wearing the black and gold Glenelg jumper.
Well, Sticks, as he's called, is probably one of the 2 greatest players to ever play at Carlton, the best captain, the second longest serving captain in the AFL, the leading goal kicker ever to play at Carlton.
Well, Graham Corn says openly that the Adelaide Football Club didn't try hard enough to bring you back just a few years ago. He says they sent Freddie McGuinness over and Bones McDermott to bring you back. Well, what's the true story of that?
Well, it's been well documented, I suppose, but I don't think that's right. Bill Sanders and Bob Hammond were fantastic. I mean, they knew me pretty well, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. If they had been driving me mad during this footy season, I would have put me offside, and they left me alone. But at the end of the season, they sent over those 2 blokes to fill me full of drink and see if I could get on the dotted line. But look, if you're not working hard enough, giving me a lot better offer than I signed with Carlton for, and doing everything I wished. And at the end of the day, I wasn't going to go. I don't think anything Adelaide could have done, money-wise or pressure-wise, I was never going to go.
Absolutely. The judgment of Kernahan was the thing. It was impeccable. Wildy brought back now, bringing Stephen Kernahan to within scoring distance of goal.
He has time for everybody. Time for the kid who's played his first game, time for the senior players, time for players who have left the club. Put it all together, I suppose if there's anything that's a higher tribute to them in his football ability is the fact that he's a wonderful guy.
Are there any regrets? Is there something perhaps that you'd like to have done you haven't?
No, I'm pretty happy with what you've achieved so far. Captain of a great place, and the main thing I'm happy is that I found a place. When you leave Glenelg, you never think you'd find a place like it. That was home, and it was so hard to leave, and to find another place much like home was fantastic, and I'm still there, and that's probably what I'm pleased about more than anything.
And there's Stephen Kernahan, one of South Australia's favourite sons, no doubt about that. But according to the BM magazine, the Brendan Maguire is Playing Well magazine, the Central District fanzine, there's South Australia's real favourite son. It's Johnny Platten. Well, you be the judge. I think both of them would be high amongst our best players, no doubt about that. And we might add that Stephen Kernahan gave us that interview after Carlton lost last week. He kicked 4 points, he got reported, had a pretty ordinary night, and he still had time for us, and we thank him. We did that tribute as part of his testimonial year. Carlton have given him a testimonial this year, only the 4th player in Carlton's history ever to receive a testimonial year from the Carlton Football Club. As we go to the half-time score here at Elizabeth Oval, There it is, Central District 16-5, 101. Glenelg 3-5, 23. Yes, if you've just joined us, that's the correct scoreline. And Damien Hicks at centre-half forward for the Bulldogs has 4. Cook has 3, Wine 2, Coffey 2, and Tamblin, Corns and Birkglen have 1 each for Glenelg. As we go to the stats, and as you'd expect, Central dominate.
Yeah, as we're looking at David, I mean, that's nearly a full quarter of possessions in a half a game of football more that Central Districts have had than Glenelg, and reflects on the scoreboard, 21 shots to 8. You know, basically 60 possessions more. Stevie Wright would be absolutely ecstatic, and his big task at half-time is to keep his club focused on where they're going. But the Central's players, Cook with 16 possessions, Hicks with 16, Stevens 13, McGowan 15, Cotter 19, Steinberger 14. It goes on and on and on. Glenelg, much harder to find good players. Burke struggled. He's had 15 possessions. Reid with 9, Kretschmer with 11. And all in all, the second half task here for Glenelg is horrendous.
Thanks for that, Glenn. The half-time score at Adelaide Oval, where West Adelaide take on the Eagles. The Eagles need to get back in the scoring zone, but have a look at that. Real disappointment for the Eagles. They're 2-4-16. West Adelaide 9-6-60. That's the half-time score at Adelaide Oval. Down at Noarlunga, 7-6-48 South, 9-6-60. Still that game in the balance at half-time. As we go down to the boundary line, Rob Popplestone, conditions still quite wet but drying up, and there's a lot of injuries on the Glenelg ledger.
Oh, there is indeed, and Glenelg, as that scoreboard reflects, can ill afford to have those injuries. Central Districts have been very impressive. I thought, as I suggested previous to the start of this game, that Central Districts would have the edge, coupled with that, of course, injuries to big players in Thornborough and McLean and Thompson, of course, and the aggression and the fierceness. The way Central Districts have hit this young Glenelg side, they've just opened them right up. They've been very disciplined. On the other hand, Glenelg have been disappointing. They've got a lot of young players, and I think Glenelg can learn from this game. There's going to be a few things that I'll be looking for. Firstly, whether or not Central Districts, now that they've got the knifing, can they start to twist it? Have they got that capability of showing that they are really a good, fearless and ferocious side? And Glenelg, can they fight back and show a little bit of character? And I think the next 30 minutes will show one way or the other who's got the edge, Centrals or Glenelg, because Glenelg have got potential, but they're going to have to start showing it immediately.
Now, Rob, talk to us about the injuries if we've quickly got time. McLean and Thornborough are the two keys.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, without getting our first hand to the ball, running plays, and don't forget some of their running plays in Chigwidden also for Glenelg are missing. So, you know, around that centre line, they're way behind the 8 ball.
Third quarter underway. Your commentators Mark Nayley and Glenn Elliott.
Stevens, quick handball out wide to Cotter. Cotter goes forward. Up to the Hicks, up against War. War has been moved from fullback out to centre halfback to contain Hicks, who really has been exciting in that first half of football.
Been sensational, Mark, hasn't he, with what he's been able to do so far?
For again, we're in the half-forward line. The Bulldogs, the ball's pushed forward. In there was War. Some quick hands given out again. They got the players loose. They play there, and McGowan just chips the ball forward. Steinberger comes in hard, couldn't quite take it. Fisker comes out solid. He uses his body. Also, Tasker was in there. He's been moved from the forward line to the back line late in that second quarter, just to give a little bit of stability, a little bit of experience back there. Really has been a one-sided affair with 13-goal margin at half-time. I was told half-time by our statistician that...
that one. Yeah, that man who counts the kicks, Mark.
The man who counts the kicks, that the Bulldogs have beaten the Bays on 2 other occasions by over 100 points, and both of those times were at the Bay Oval. They're well on the way this afternoon. Stevens goes forward, looking for Coffey. Coffey out in front, takes a good mark. A little bit of a boot there from Tasker, just to let him know he was on his hammer.
Just a little love tap, Glenn, really, wasn't it?
Here, watch it. There it is. Just a little thank you.
No, he thought better of it. He was just just marking his spot on the oval. Didn't want to risk a 50.
Sounds like a St Kilda ploy to me.
No, that was extremely controlled violence, wasn't it? Yes, well, Coffey's got an opportunity again to go to his 3rd goal, I think it is. Mark, would that be right?
That's right. He's kicked 1 in the first and the second quarter. He goes back, puts it on its way. It's across the face of goal. The umpires look at each other. It's the boundary in the goal. The goal umpire takes charge and indicates another point has been scored. So Central Districts, they move now on the 16-goal-6, 102. They lead the Tigers. And Poultry, 3 goals, 5, 23.
Rubenik Feeds it back to War. Look at the pressure they're under. Rubenik gets it back to War. They've had 3 possessions in the space of 5 metres, and finally they just dribble it out as we go down to Rob Popplestone on the boundary.
Thanks, DB. Listen, last week we saw, or a fortnight ago, we saw Coach Steve Wright rest some of his gun plays. He's on ballers in Girdham and also McGowan. This week, as you can see down here on the bench, he's resting Herrera and also James Wine. So, you know, he's using his experienced players well and giving them the break with a lot of serious hard football ahead of them.
Just down there at half-time also, Poppy, I just saw Michael Wakeland, who came off. It's led to believe. I had a quick chat to him. He said that he's twisted a knee. He doesn't know the extent of it just yet, but he'll know come Monday when he sees the surgeon.
Yeah, so look, that would be bad news. He started off this game brilliantly, didn't he? And, of course, with that electrical accident a fortnight ago, he got out of that one okay, but this knee, you know, could spell danger because he's a key player in either the forward or the back line for the Central Districts.
Most famous industrial accident in history, I think, that one.
Just on that, Dave, you mentioned a moment ago in the commentary in regards to lack of pressure from Glenelg, and you know, you look at the scoreboard, 16 goals, 6. I mean, it reflects there's no pressure all over the ground, doesn't it? When that sort of situation, 16 shots, 22 shots a goal, 16, that's marvellous conversion.
Chambers it was, feeding it off. Now Cook gathers it in, 40 out on the left boot. He's already kicked, what, 3 goals already. He goes long towards goals, but it's offline. This time, it's a point.
Yes, well, that's a rarity from Cook today. I mean, he's absolutely dynamite on his left foot, and you know, as soon as you put the mocker on him again, as we all tend to do, and as Rowan War kicks out.
War long towards Visca, stood his ground beautifully over the top of it, finding hard for it. Potter comes up with the ball. A loose ball goes out wide. Chambers around the corner. Good courage. Cook held his ground and marked beautifully, but he's caught on the wrong side for a left footer, and he'll probably look to feed it off. That's exactly what he does. Look at the looseness there. And deep on the point of the square is Coffey, marks 12 metres out.
Yes, it wouldn't have enthused too many Glenelg stalwarts when they saw that, would they? I mean, that was the ultimate in lack of checking.
Well, War had come out. It wasn't War's fault.
No.
I've got to say, War had come out to get to the Cook. 3 goals to the big man. He's done pretty well. And we're only 4.5 minutes into the third term.
Well, when a club's under siege like this, David, it really beholds some of the players now. And I've mentioned it before. We mentioned it during the first quarter, but now it is in real danger of a massive blowout. And some of the experienced players, I keep harking on it, but the likes of Visca, Rubenik, you know, Bartlett and Reid and Tasker, they've really got to assemble the troops now and come to terms with you know, getting some credibility out of this last, what, 80 minutes, I suppose. It's going to be a long 2 quarters.
So 5 and nearly half minutes in this third quarter. Central District 17 goals, 709. Glenelg 3 goals, 523 as Coach Stephen Wright has sent Overcoast to his backline players. Coming forward again. Over the top was Cotter. On to Cook. He's picked up a half a dozen possessions already in this third quarter, and Coffey again just takes a mark uncontested between 2 Glenelg players. Just too easy.
It's white and one, isn't
Far
it?
too easily.
So I must compliment the ABC staff on their coffee here, because they must have a contract with my dentist, I think, with the amount of sugar they put in that. But
no, I was talking about coffee. It's cream and sugar.
Sorry, I was talking about what I was drinking. His coffee does have a, you know, he's got a chance of having a real field day out here now, and once again he allows an opportunity to go begging, and
that's 3-3, by the way.
Holds his head in absolute disgust, and so he should.
Well, the thing about it, Glenn, is when he props and stops, he leans back on the kick. I spoke to him before the match and said, look, you know, if you stay over it...
Is this your... you do have an inner...
Did he say he spoke to Coffey before the match to give him instructions how to kick the ball?
No. Today he's had a chat to the umpires, the Central's full forward, and here's another opportunity.
Marvellous, isn't that marvellous? Look at the strength of this big guy. That is just a terrific mark and a 25-metre penalty. I don't think Rowan War's going to worry too much about it, because Coffey was going to kick the goal anyway.
He's frustrated.
Well, Mark, you've been in these situations, I guess, at different stages. I don't know whether you've been 80 points behind in a game, but frustration is the temptation, isn't it? Where do we go from here? What do we do? You know, what are our supporters looking for? What's our coach looking for?
Sorry, Glenn. 4 goals, 3 to Coffey.
Yeah, it's a very hard ask. I mean, how can we be anything else Well, it's and that's it's very interesting to note that Grant Coffey has in fact outscored Glenelg so far. And look, it's an indictment on the club at the moment, and it's got to stop the rot.
I don't think it'll stop this afternoon, unfortunately, Glenn.
Comments, Glenn Gutnick.
So Central Districts, 18 goals 8, 116. Glenelg, 3 goals 5, 23. As the ball once again is bounced in the middle of the ground. Coming through hard again. Well, it's that red, white and blue jumper once again takes the ball out of the centre. This player here, number 41, Sean Chambers, a young 23-year-old. Looks up, looks for Coffey. Coffey gives him a lead. He puts it out in that direction. Coffey out in front. No, he's spoiled from behind by Tasker. With him there is Holm, who's come back on the ground. Too much pace here. Holm, what can you do with it? Needs support. Tasker sitting on top of him. And the umpire has given the Tigers a very soft free kick.
No, that's fair enough. That is dead set fair enough. You're not allowed to dive on top of the ball. You drag it in, you're penalised. That's the rule, and I reckon that's the right interpretation.
And you've been very generous in your praise of Holmes' pace too, I think.
Fair enough. To the outer side, Conway working hard. Brings the ball forward. That's what Central District do very well. Bring it to ground nicely. Now, look at the loose men out there. I'm just counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 loose men. Hicks one of them. Chips it short. Coffey on the lead. His confidence is high, and he's kicked 4 goals 3.
It's his 3rd mark for the quarter.
Yes, he's having a sensation. But look at the delivery yet again coming in. No pressure upfield, and Coffey took a mark under mild pressure, I would.
Glenn, let's see if we've got a perfect angle. Let's see if he stays over it. Head down and
a
follows
coaching
through.
clinic, is it?
It is. I had the same problem. I know exactly what his problem is.
You can't even see your toes.
See, he followed through. It was nice. But that one, just a little off.
Yes.
But at least he stayed down. At least he has a tendency to
give me a break. I'm not here to the ABC of football as to how you kick goals. I was not one of my great fortes, but...
You, Sentiment, you were a goal hog, I'm told. A few of your teammates I spoke with. Rex Hunt said if you got within 80 yards of goal, nobody got the ball.
I never risk anyone else messing it up. But, look, I mean, there is a... What do we commentate on at the moment, in fairness? I mean, we can encourage, we can be hopeful that Glenelg are going to show something as Tasker kicked out. And as Glenelg now bursts forward, that hopefully they can make something of this.
Good pick-up. Going up the first time this quarter, the ball has gone forward. Around about the 10-minute mark. Ball's thrown forward again. The Bay players are inundated with red, white and blue jumpers. Every way they turn, they just come up. That's all they're seeing in front of them. Lee, which way will he go? Ball gets knocked forward. Jew goes out wide, couldn't quite get it there. They're starting to get a bit too fancy. Lee's going to run back by himself. A free kick down the field. The umpire from the middle of the ground indicates a little bit too much pressure there. A little bit late tackle by Stewie Dew after number 52 for Glenelg, which is Ryan Eagle, disposed of it.
Yes, well, it gives Glenelg an opportunity to score their 4th goal for the game, which would be, and the tackle was, yeah, maybe marginally late, but not exactly bone-crunching, was it, David? I mean, those sorts of things, technically there, maybe in the field of play, you let them go.
So Darren Reid, 45 out, 45-degree angle on his left leg, puts it high into the air. I think he's got the distance, he's got the accuracy. He brings up his first goal for the afternoon. And Glenn Elliott, that's one I think Glenelg really needed.
That is the absolute understatement of the afternoon, and it's just interesting. A couple of players sauntered across to Reid to congratulate him as we see him on screen, but not any wild enthusiasm about it, and every player who contributes at the moment needs a little pat on the back.
18-9 to 4 goals 5. What a blowout here at Elizabeth Oval. 11.5 minutes into the 3rd term, and the home crowd enjoying this. Coffee and scones the order of the day, and I think there's even more people just coming through the gates. They're going to lap up the final quarter or a bit of this match, no doubt about that, and cheer their heroes off the ground at the end of the game. Burke couldn't get through traffic. Potter over the top of it, holds the ball in the area, and the umpire said he had no opportunity. It's a bounce.
David, Glenelg's injuries have really hurt them badly, but Central District's relentless pressure has really been the standard on this whole game from the first quarter, hasn't it?
Yes, I think they've stamped that on their game in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know there's too many teams that are just harder at you when you've got the ball than Central. It's been their calling card. Ottens from the midfield, a long ball to Corns, who's led beautifully and marks wonderfully well. He's got some pace, this kid.
He's got some real ability, there's no question of that, and when you think that, once again, taking it out in front of, who is it, Geister, is it, the fullback? But
one of those players, Glenn, that seems to have a lot of time to do things. He seems like he's going three-quarter pace, but in fact he's going pretty hard at it.
Very cool head and has an outstanding future in footy.
So Chad Corns from 40 has won already in this match. Holds the kickback lob right in the square. Big fly from Conway, brings it down to Scotty Lee. Gang tackle, play on, said the umpire, as the ball goes to ground, and now it's a bounce and a fight.
It's just a little bit of fellows sorting out, making some space for the umpire to bounce the ball, I think. But we do need a bit of excitement in the game, and you know, the Glenelg boys have got to put some fierce pressure on as Raiders chases the ball.
Glenelg starting to throw the ball around. They're starting to run a little bit hard in these last couple of minutes. They've got a loose player out wide, and Alistair Burke, he'll go directly for the big white sticks. Puts it high up in the air there. Bartlett has been very quiet this afternoon. Again from behind, back to Green. Green's got the running home. He couldn't quite get that far. That was Jones, couldn't quite get to him. Again, Tasker comes inside, back to Burke. Burke. Steinberger goes to Green. Green kicks the ball forward to McGowan. McGowan just chip it over the top, which he will do, to the running Hicks. He'll get held up there by Alistair Burke. So Hicks comes inside, couldn't quite make his target, and Grant Rubenik intercepts.
Rubenik short. War, I think that's a better matchup. War at centre-half forward on Hicks. Now Tasker, Visca. I've caught it from you, Mark, I'm sorry. Ottens, Raiders. Through the midfield, a long ball towards full forward. Corns body on body. Has he got the strength? Knows to the umpire. A free kick to Geister, who was held out of the contest. Play on, and it's Jones at half back. He'll bring it in board. There's a couple of targets in the middle of the ground. It's exactly where he heads, and it's McGowan who just leads out, takes it on the hands and plays on quickly. Can flick it short or go across the top with a handball. Holds it beautifully, creates a bit of space. Around the corner under pressure. Brooks tried to crash through. Support comes from Ruben. He caught it, a big tackle. And bang, as we go down to the boundary line and Rob Popplestone.
Thanks for that. There's going to be an interchange for Central District, so I think you'll find that young Matthew Jones will come off and James Wine will return and probably play off a half-forward flank.
The ruckman in Girdham goes for the tap. He gets it down to his player. Out wide again, this is Berg. Will he set it up? He does. He's got the running player inside. That's Reed. So Reed takes it. Which way will he go? He goes direct for the big white sticks again. I think he's made the distance. No one in the goal square. That's his second this quarter.
Yeah,
Darren Reed, well done.
Yeah, he's the club's leading goal kicker, Mark. And once again, I mean, it seems to be this uncanny knack of some of these left-footers. Cook at the other end for Centrals, and of course Reed bringing up Glenelg's 5th goal for the afternoon.
You had Scripps last year, Glenn, but we haven't seen a lot of him this season.
Scripps is out injured as well, so it.
With Jigwidden, Scripps, you've got quite an injury list.
Yes, Glenelg have.
Other matches around the ground today. West Adelaide taking on the Eagles. It's West by 49 points. I think they're home in that one, midway through the third quarter. North by 17 points. That game still in the balance down at Noarlunga Oval against South Adelaide. And Port Sturt tonight, the curtain raiser, before the big AFL clash at Footy Park. Jones and Hereda on the bench for the Bulldogs.
It's a luxury for the afternoon, isn't it? Leaving a player like a Raider off the ground.
Well, you just don't know whether he's had a little niggle and maybe he's had a bit of a workout today and just rest him, not aggravate the injury any further. Arnold in the number 5 jumper feeds it out to Hicks, who's had a blistering first half. He kicked 4 goals in the first half. Potter, Tasker from behind, brings it to ground. Raider stumps it across the line, and again we'll have a throw in.
It's a little bit of an ask for Stevie Wright. One of his problems at the moment, of course, is that, and Mark's picked it up in the commentary, Central's tending to be a bit flash, tending to do the little pretty things at the moment.
You saw on screen there before about the football videos. I don't think there'll be too many Glenelg supporters or even the players this afternoon would be racing into the ABC shop on Monday morning, but I'm sure there'll be a few Central supporters really have been entertained this afternoon. This is Central Districts back from 1986 and also 1985 when they've been so strong. And this young player, Timmy Cook, got 3 goals for the afternoon, lining up for his 4th. So Cook, very balanced, very direct when he comes in. just throws the ball in the air. Didn't come off the boot that well, but the end result is true. He brings up his 4th goal in Central District's 19th.
Yes, it just continues, doesn't it? Glenelg, when they go into the forward line, appear to lack all system and struggle and rely on individual efforts, whereas, and look, confidence is a great thing for either side, but when Central's go into attack, they go in with purpose, the forward lines are open, clean disposals, and Cook actually finished it off. As on the screen there, we see the game stats, and they tell the story of exactly why Centrals are absolutely destroying Glenelg.
Kicks and marks have it all, not much in the handballs and not much in the frees. In fact, Glenelg enjoy a lead there. Is it 19-9 to 5-5, 18 minutes into the 3rd term. Otten's in ruck for Glenelg, brings the ball to ground. It falls down over the top of it, getting the kick away was home. There's a free kick for a tackle too high. Chambers got one, but play on the advantage as McGowan goes long and low, and there's Coffey again. 40 out, almost directly in front, kicking for his 5th.
And what a terrible, it's a good way for Sean Tasker to get a bit of valuable match practice, isn't it? Because up there he's going to be chasing Coffey to the ball with monotonous regularity through no fault of his own at this stage.
Coffey with 4 goals, 4 already in this match. Lines up for goal number 5, and he leans back on that one again. Now, in big games, tight games, those ones can hurt.
Well, I think that's haunted Grant Coffey for most of his career. He's, and I don't know, nobody would have those stats available, but he's certainly getting a coaching video this afternoon, isn't he, if he picks up a copy of this afternoon's game?
Got one last week, I can tell you.
So Tasker started the game in the forward lines. Shifted about midway through that 2nd quarter. The Ottens, very mobile, very big. You see the 2nd effort was good by him. Quick handballs out wide. Wider still, number 22.
Justin Brooks.
Justin Brooks. So Brooks. He's got Jep up there. Jep, whichever way you wish to pronounce it. And Geister again rebounds for the Bulldogs. Couldn't quite find his target. And one of the better players, as I said a few times this afternoon, Rowan Waugh, takes a good safe mark. It's back to Waugh again. He goes further forward. This is Pearce, the young 16-year-old. He puts out in front of Corns. McGowan there just intercepts. Quickly handballs across to Lee. Lee again sets it over to Potter. Potter wishes to play on. Slipped over as he went to take off. He goes up further to Hicks. This could be a 25-metre penalty. The umpire indicates he's just bringing him back. It indicates, yes, it is a 25-metre penalty. So the game will just slow down momentarily. So the umpire finds his spot at 25 or 50.
It's got to be a very substantial 25 there. It's a 50-metre penalty.
He's marked it over by the Peter Page sign, which to those people on the screen was, I reckon it's nearer 80.
Very severe for overstepping the mark.
It's a 50-metre penalty, fellas.
Oh, 50, my whatever.
It's 80 metres. For those at home, it's 80 metres. So Hicks puts it in the air. He's also thinking, what's happened here?
Jimmy Wine was interfered with in the goal square. Raiders, yep. Good call, Glenn.
Yes, well, you know, the ball, whilst was in flight, Michael Raiders is...
Raiders is saying, I got one on the chin, and I just gave one back.
Jimmy Wine is a very experienced player. I'm not sure that we'll pick up anything in the replays, but he's certainly going to take full advantage of this. And pops it through for yet another goal, for the 20th goal for Central Districts.
And the 3rd to Jimmy Wynn. Good effort there by the Central Bulldogs. Once again, going forward, setting up by Hicks, and an infringement by Raiders on Wynn in the goal square allows Jimmy Wynn to kick his 3rd for the afternoon.
Yes, well, it's a critical time for a Glenelg Footy Club. We realise that if we all have a look at the competition ladder, it's going to be delicately poised for those racing for the 4th and 5th positions at this stage, and Central's certainly putting their mark on this game.
Crowd of 2,840 enjoying this, and Central's biggest previous score was round 2, where they kicked 25 goals, 6, 156 to South's 11, 77. Big win over the Panthers today. I think they're going to just belt over the top of that, no doubt. Brooks, pretty fancy, gets the kick off. Chad Corns, big fly, 2 bites at the cherry. Jep brings it down. Now it ends up with Corns, who tries to snap a goal, but it's offline, and a point the result.
He's a real talent, David, isn't he? I mean, in when he's attacked the footy today, he's always looked threatening. But from Glenelg's point of view, sadly enough, the ball just hasn't been able to have been delivered into the forward line with any cleanliness at all, as Centrals once again clear it out from the full-back line.
Scotty lead. A quiet day for Scotty. He's only had 12 possessions, but the ball hasn't been down that area too much. I'm surprised we haven't seen, as we have throughout this year, when we've covered the Central District's games, and Scotty Lee has kicked a couple of goals. We see a fantastic mark by Brad Ottens.
Exactly the reason that so many people are interested in this young man, a 17-year-old, marvellous talent as he passes across to Rubening.
Rubening's forward, the back was Corns, also Bartlett. In the front there, Conway. Good work by Cook. Just solves a dummy. Strong work, just too much strength there by the big fella in Conway.
Stewie Dew's got cramp behind play, so he just might need a little bit of attention. Chambers gets it off from Arnold, short. Cook is just running plenty and covering plenty of ground. Caught one from Visca. Umpire Barnett comes in and posts a warning. Won't worry Cook, he's a courageous little character, this kid. The captain goes through half forward, a long ball. Well spoiled by Tasker back there, off the ground. Raiders heads out after it. Sells the dummy, goes high over the top. Tasker running. Now this is a good sign for Glenelg, with Tasker starting to run late in the third quarter. His fitness is starting to come at him. And Bartlett marks on the outer wing. So the big man who started on the interchange bench has gone to centre half forward, kicks it towards Ottens, who's taken high. Play on, said the umpire. No, it's a free. Umpire Schmidt picked it up. Ottens lays it off. Reed, the left footer. Corns the target over that player's head. Corns will double back just inside the line. He'll have first run at it, but the Central defence is up to the task, and they thump it across the face of goals, where Scotty Lee has almost had a bye himself today with the ball so little in the back line.
But what a more promising move for Glenelg. I mean, with...
Just see back there in the goal square. I think Jimmy Wind here swallowed a fly. As he went past one of the Glenelg players.
I think he... little academy there for him.
A Rowan fly.
Yeah.
Scotty Lee kicks the ball forward again. And there was Geister. Bartlett, it's one of his possessions, couldn't quite do it. He looks very sluggish this afternoon, does Alan Bartlett. Bit of a foot race here. Craigie Potter jumps on top. Looks like he's been given a free kick away to young Joshy Pearce. Pearce, the young 16-year-old, up against Potter, the 31-year-old. You see a bit of blood coming down. It's not the first time Craig Potter had blood streaming down his face. A very tough, very aggressive player. Former Sydney Swans.
Brisbane Bear.
And Brisbane Bear.
It's interesting, Mark, isn't it? I mean, the Taskers and the Bartletts have to get into this game for Glenelg to exert some influence on it.
The thing that I've been critical about Glenn is they are big fellows and they don't body. In fact, Glenelg's big men historically have never been aggressive big fellows, and I think that's where they've really fallen down, and one of the areas that Coach Stringer will need to work on. Visca from half-back, drills it forward. Good mark taken by Scotty Lee. He's enjoyed it back there today. As fresh as a daisy. Cook, the Scotty Lee in the double play. A long ball to half-forward. Big set. Oh, good grab. Hicks brings it to ground. Jimmy Wine cops one high. Play on, said the umpire. Pearce runs away with it. Chips it short. 55 is Joshy Compton, who's in trouble. Holmes steals it away. Over the top with the handball. Well, Hicks came in board, Chambers runs, and Looker's in the square all by himself. It's just got to carry the player, but it didn't, and Tasker marks in front of Coffey.
The ball's rebounded by the Tigers. That's Justin Smart. The young Smart punches the ball long down the wing. Again, we see Hicks involved in that last play. Just reads the ball a little bit better than the other players. He gives it to Cook. Now, Cook had 15 kicks, 8 handballs, 23 possessions, 9 marks, kicked 4 goals, 1. He has to be behind the best players as well. As Dew goes forward, at the back is Coffey. He's taken the mark. The umpire calls play on. Again, the Glenelg backline rebounds. Running players everywhere. Out wide is young Tamblett. Will he get there before it goes out? He will. He's hotly pursued by Raider. Again, Tablin's back in the scene again. 2 Central Districts players up against the 1 Tiger. They bring it back into the forward line. At the back is Hicks again. He's marked everything that's come his way, this lad, this afternoon. That's his 12th mark.
What an outstanding display, Mark. I mean, he's stamped his mark on the game early, and it's just continued. The longer the game's gone, sometimes you see players contribute a half, but he's just gone on and on and on.
So number 14, young Damien Hicks, played state football last week. He's kicked 4 goals, 24 years old, 12 marks this afternoon, lays back on it, pushes across the face. Goal. So Hicks, 4 goals, 2.
Yeah, it's been a most significant contribution to the game, and he's been outstanding as Tasker kicks out from full back. It's interesting when you're talking a moment ago about Glenelg's toughness, and certainly with Visca then throwing his body in and ruthlessly, and Burke steering it out to the into Glenelg's half-forward line, and where it goes out of bounds.
I have been disappointed with Alan Bartlett. I've seen him a few times over the last 18 months, and he has impressed me with some of the games. He's been used either centre-half back or centre-half forward, and he's always given a contest, but he's having...
Well, right at this stage, I mean, it's probably one of the worst afternoons I've seen Alan have, and look, we all know he's a fierce competitor, and it just hasn't come to fruition this afternoon.
Yes, I think the thought there was that they had Brad Ottens, they had Luke Ottens, and they had Bartlett. They could give away James West, but James West really has embarrassed them. And at three-quarter time, it's a 95-point margin in favour of Centrals, who look, Glenn, as smooth as silk.
Yeah, they've just had so much space. I mean, really, we thought we may have seen a little bit of a turnaround. I mean, Glenelg, you couldn't question the players' intent, but their application has been, fair in terms of applying themselves. Centrals maybe didn't have quite as much freedom, but once again, the loose turnovers, and Centrals far more professional outfit at this stage, and they just, every time a loose ball falls free, they rush it into their forward line with the smoothness that Glenelg just haven't got at this point in time, and the scoreboard tells the story. 131 points to 36. It's a sorry state of affairs, and as we called earlier in the game, all Glenelg have got left to fight for now is a bit of credibility, a bit of spirit, and hopefully Wayne String and the boys can pull a big 30 minutes out to try and balance the equation a little bit for the balance of the afternoon.
Thank you, Glenn. It's time to put the kettle on, have your afternoon cup of tea or coffee, get your slice of banana cake. The three-quarter time scores here at Elizabeth Oval. You've got Central Districts. They're 20 goals and 11, 131. Absolutely tearing the Glenelg the heart out of the Tiger. They're 5 goals, 6 at 36. And you're seeing it live here on ABC Sport.
Well, one player who started on the bench for the Tigers, who maybe might have been better used if he started at centre-half forward, is Alan Bartlett. The 30-year-old this afternoon is profiled by us.
About 165, I think. My career aspirations outside of football are a career in professional sales. This year, to make the 5 and hopefully win a few finals. Socially, playing tennis, golf and surfing. It's pretty important, I think, as a stepping stone to the AFL. Most young kids these days have got aspirations to play AFL, so it's a good stepping stone for that. I think all my coaches mainly, they really sort of helped me and guided me in the right directions. Yeah, I think my first league game sort of sticks in the mind fairly well. Port at Footy Park and we had a win, so it was good. Yeah, still like being around the club, like playing footy and enjoy winning. Oh, nothing set, no, just keep it pretty basic.
I think Alan Bartlett might have had better days than today. It's not a game I think that he'll remember. This match is forgettable in terms of the closeness of the play, but there have been some very memorable tough instances as we get these from the second and third quarters. High ball comes in and Visca just gets Jonesy. Little high one there. We thought that the mark might have been reversed, and Mark Visca just fending off Jones.
Now, tough Scotty Lee there, David, yes. Pretty hard nut. Up against Alan Barton. There's no love lost between those two players.
Well, but in fairness, we've seen so little. We've seen so little of this. There's been so little, you know, so little aggression from Glenelg. There's been no contest.
Yes, the players just sorted it all out there as we go down to the boundary line. Rob Popplestone, Wayne Stringer, I think, would have been livid at three-quarter time.
He wasn't too happy at all, DB. You're right, and why should he be? He's been very disappointed. He gave particular attention to a few players he gave jobs to. He was very complimentary of Corns down there on the full forward line. Thought he tried valiantly, did a good job on Geister as he was running down the centre of the ground on a number of occasions. But he's just disappointed that he's on ball as not only being beaten to the ball, but in fact appear to be somewhat soft. I tell you what, it was a different story though over at Central Districts, because Stevie Wright, although complimentary of most of his players, was very disappointed, as you suggested, in the call of Grant Coffey's finishing. Grant Coffey, you know, he's taken some great gas, but Stevie Wright got really, you know, stuck right into him about his finishing, and he suggested that this quarter is the one that he wants to see him with 3 or 4 on the board. But I tell you what, just being part of that Central Districts huddle, they're very professional, a very tight-knit unit, and they really want to finish this game off in excellent style, because, you know, they've really got the Glenelg side with their backs to the wall, and they want to see them slump to the ground.
Yes, a percentage booster likely to come up for the Central District size. And there's a great shot. Isn't that a great visual shot? Dad and son, football, and Bulldog fans are plenty. I think if you're sitting at home and you're anywhere in the Elizabeth area, you should get down and watch this final quarter, because I think the Bulldogs are going to be quite magnificent. They're looking for percentage. They've got blood coming from the stake, and they're going to eat it raw this afternoon. I think it'll be a great final term for the Bulldog fans. As we go to the three-quarter time scorecard and have a look at that. Central District 20 goals, 11, 131, heading for their biggest score of the season. And the Glenelg side 5-6, 36, heading for their lowest score of the season. And Mark Coffey with 4 goals, 5, has been inaccurate.
He really has. He's had the opportunity. He's kicked 4 goals, 4 he has, David, this afternoon, but he's been well supported by Cook, the young rover, number 6. He's also had 4 goals, and Hicks, who really has been outstanding. He's been my best player for the afternoon. I'm sure Glenn Elliott at the Bays, just look at their goal cues, just not enough being done up forward.
No, Mark, I mean, one of the problems for the Bays in recent times is just have not had a focal point up front.
As we go down to the boundary line, and Rob Popplestone.
Thanks for that, DB. Yes, Stevie Wright, the coach of Central Districts, with me, and Steve obviously happy with the performance so far, but looking forward to a big last quarter.
Oh, certainly. I believe the way that we started the game was tremendous. We were very intense, and, you know, we were at them, and, you know, some of their young blokes, I thought we really put them under pressure.
And Grant Coffey, he's got a lot of the ball, but his finishing has been a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in his kicking. I believe that he's a better player than that, so I'll put a bit of pressure on him to actually kick some more goals for us.
Good on you, Steve. Thanks for that. Good luck.
Thanks, Rob Popplestone, and thanks to Stevie Wright for just taking time out. But I think with the margin 95 points at three-quarter time, it's a pretty safe thing to do. We thank Stevie Wright and the Central District Football Club for that. In other matches around town today at Adelaide Ovals, West Adelaide are giving the Eagles a hammering, 71 to 26 points. The Eagles' demise imminent in that match, 57 to 86. North Adelaide taking charge of the match down at Noarlunga over against South Adelaide. And don't forget tonight, Port Adelaide take on Sturt at 5 o'clock, the curtain raiser to the Port Power match tonight at Football Park. Well, fellas, final quarter underway. Wayne Stringer bitterly disappointed. I could hear some of what he was saying from up here in the grandstand, and he won't take this defeat lying down.
Dave, it comes down to the forward line structures again. I mean, Glenelg just haven't got a regular forward line player. Today they've been outrun, out-muscled, and it's the third quarter begins.
So the final term underway with Central's leading by 95 points. Your commentator, Mark Nailey, and Glenn Elliott.
Ottens again. Up with a big fella, and it was Conway. McGowan. Central Districts just really are going forward once again. They started so well in that third quarter. Should have been further ahead if Grant Coffey could just kick a little bit straighter. Took 4 marks in about the first 10 minutes. And we heard Stevie Wright. He's put the pressure on Coffey. When it comes his way, he's got to mark the ball, then kick goals with it. We see Cook running on. He's got 4 there for the afternoon. Just needs to pick it up. He's supported there beautifully by Chalmers. He kicks around his body. Coffey's there. Which way will he go? He needs support also. Quick handball's out. This is one over the top. He couldn't quite get it there. That was what was that, Glenn?
we're at the wrong stadium today. Now, that's probably exactly what Stevie Wright would not be wishing to see.
He's shaking his head. Look at it.
But,
We're going to get down a replay.
Oh, I tell you, what a marvellous attempt. Down at Highmarsh Stadium, he should have been.
Oh, dear. There we are, number 5. Away again. It goes out wide. What can the Bays do?
Well, War has been a pretty valuable person. I mean, he's chipped away at it, but, yeah, the Bays are really under the pump, aren't they?
Again, some good work there, but a little fella. That's smart. Gets to his feet quickly, gets the ball moving out. Barton just needs to produce this last quarter. Give him something. Just throw some weight around. Put some pressure on the Central District's backline. I'm just running out with ease once again. This is Geister from full back. Run down well through the centre of the ground. He's still running. Couldn't really have found a target. Arnold, the big ruckman this afternoon. He's rucked all day. Because he took out Thornborough. Secondly, he took out McLean. He's now got Ottens to contend with.
You called it correctly, though. I mean, Geister had the confidence in the score in his team to run the full length of the oval then with not even the faintest thought that somebody wouldn't have picked up his man. And when a team plays like this with absolute running confidence, they're a pretty difficult machine to stop.
He's got his Glenelg scarf on his lap. He's trying to hide it, I think. He's looking down for the goal kickers. There's not too many of them this afternoon for the Tigers. As the ball's punched back. Again, they've got numbers out wide. 41 again is Chalmers.
He's got a bit of pace, hasn't he?
He comes around. He just set it up here for Cook. Cook, if he wishes to, can go over the top to Coffey, who's sitting in the goal square by himself. He's got to play it shorter still. That's young Jimmy Wind. So he'll go back from about 40. No, he will not. He'll come in short again to Cook, who's collected about 20 metres. Now, that is very loose and very untidy. And the Whiskers on the right there, left-hand side of screen, just shaking his head. He can't believe it.
Well, Mark, I mean, it's a coach's nightmare when that sort of things happen. The coach sits in the grandstand and just shakes his head in disbelief and thinks, well, what can I do? Players have just lost complete accountability in terms of their men.
So he goes back, does Timmy Cook. Pushes it in the air. That brings up his 5th for the afternoon. That's Central District's 21st goal. They moved to 21 goals, 11. To Glenelg, 5 goals, 6.
Yeah, I know we started this in the first quarter, but what a valuable little player he's been. And, you know, the Centrals fellows with Chambers has come on and shown outstanding pace. Steinberger, you know, another player showing outstanding pace. And they'd be the sort of attributes that I'm sure Stevie Wright's looking for. Some real, genuine September-type players in his side.
There's our man for three-quarter time with his little chappie. They'll be pretty happy this afternoon. We see the Central District side with a 101-point margin. Really is annihilation. Called down again.
That's Josh Conton as he spears it out of the middle, and he's a valuable little player. And once again, I think it's Shane Jepp up in the forward line, and that'll be an unusual spot for him, but I don't think he's 100% fit at this stage either, but Jepp gets a chance to improve the scoreboard, and even at this late stage, Mark, I guess the 100-point barrier becomes a bit of something to fight for as Jepp lines up for Glenelg's 6th goal, doesn't make the distance, and once again, and we've watched it all afternoon as Centrals with numbers. Scotty Lee, the old experienced campaigner, forces it out of bounds and for a throw-in on Glenelg's half-forward flank.
He's looked pretty relaxed, Glenn, most of the day. Scotty Lee hasn't.
Yes,
really...
he hasn't got a hair out of place.
Looks very relaxed, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Throw in. Arnold, front position. Thumps it forward. Stewie Dew couldn't quite gather it in. Loose ball falls. Peter Green evades a tackle, gets the kick away. Tasker did very well. Visco did very well to get to the front position on Holm.
Yeah, well, that was a really, you know, a bit of a contest. Visco and Holmes certainly not lacking in the strength department, and taking a man like Mark Visco, you do so at your own peril as well.
No worries about that. 137-36, 5.5 minutes into the final term from Elizabeth Oval. A big confidence booster for the Bulldogs. As getting that out was Tamblin. Forward to Burke. He's been one of Glenelg's better players today. He really has gutsed it out, no doubt about that. Rubinick, who hasn't had a lot of the ball today particularly, feeds it inboard. Justin Smart dispatches the kick. Big fly at the back was Bartlett, couldn't bring it down. Geister handballs in turn to Scotty Lee, evades the tackle just cleverly and chips it off now to Holm at half-back.
But that's that same thing we were talking about earlier, David, that, you know, the lack of system going into the forward line, and maybe that's because there isn't a focal point.
So Chalmers, they've run this ball out beautifully out of the back line, have the Bulldogs, puts it up high. This is Raiders from behind. He read it a little bit better. Kicks it forward. This is Bartlett. Which way will he go? He's going to play loose if he wants to use him. He chips it up towards the mouth of the goal square. Who's back there? Raider for the Bulldogs. Number 34 for the Bays is Pearce. Neither player could take it.
Yes, and even then, you know, Alan Bartlett, open goal front in front of him, and
a couple of options
really,
there as well.
yeah, he could have. He didn't really attack the goal front. He didn't take the options, and it's just the fine line, isn't it? Confidence wanes, and so does your ability to do things.
I think that's the first rush point of the afternoon, fellas. It's the first time the Central District defence has been under pressure.
Well, it's been a long time since they have, as you rightly called, and here again it comes out with ridiculous ease. Mr. Reliable just clears it out from the back line.
17 kicks to Scotty Lee, by the way. This fellow's played pretty well. Hicks, he's had 17 kicks and 14 marks. He's dominated the centre forward position. They're Wayne Carey type stats.
Yeah, it's quite staggering. You don't see that very often. Centre half forward, arguably the hardest position on the field to play. But he's made a mockery of that theory this afternoon and given an outstanding display to those who ventured out to the Elizabeth Oval.
So again, we see the ball thrown in. Ottens up against the big fella in Arnold. Ball goes up forward again. Conway's moved from centre half back now into the forward lines to see if he can snare a couple of goals.
It's interesting, Conway, isn't it? I mean, he was traditionally a forward-line player, and he certainly looked much better at centre-half back, but Stevie Wright would be just giving him an opportunity at this late stage.
Well, he's been picked up at the moment by Bartlett. I don't know whether he's just run down from centre-half back.
Well, he may well have, Mark. I mean, you called it earlier that the defenders were getting a little bit cool up there. Jimmy Wine actually collected this one, or has he just fallen ungracefully to the oval?
I think it's that fly before.
Oh, what's
stuck in his throat.
Wong, a torpedo. It's on behind Bartlett and Stevens on behind play. As the umpire, this is the benefit of the 3-umpire system, of course. McGowan just looked.
It is terrific, and look up here in the goal square where there's 3 Central Districts. As Conway absolutely saunters into the goals and just pops it up into the... which end is that, David? The southern end was the Central District's flag fly, and it is a point. I mean, that was a great advocate for the 3-umpire system. They sorted it out. Centrals took full advantage, and have a look at this.
Conway, who was the club's leading goal kicker last year with, 57 goals, gets his first for the afternoon today. In other matches around town, West Adelaide by 38 points midway through the final term at Adelaide Oval, and North by 29 points. That's also midway through the final term.
What a good effort that is from North down at Noarlunga, because it's a difficult ground to go to.
See it there, Ottens up again, Arnold again. The ball's gone forward to the Tigers forward line again. Green back there has made it pretty impressive since he came on. Fair effort. Up forward again. Terrible disposal. And again, Scotty Lee just sits back, takes an easy chest mark, gets the ball now moving out to Holm. Holm needs some runners. He's got him up forward, but he wants to use him. Out in front, over the shoulder. It should have been given the free kick over the top of Moore. You do not make decisions in front of a Central District's grandstand.
Yes, it was just about a free kick, wasn't it?
So Stewie Dew on the left leggers. They've got a few left leggers. That's the Bulldog side. Scotty Lee once again kicks the ball up. Well directed, finds the safe hands of Michael Raiders.
They've just got to play on in that position. They've just got no confidence to keep going, Glenn, have they?
No, David, I mean, we've spoken about it during the afternoon, but the side has hit rock bottom this afternoon, and, you know, players are looking to go on with it, can't. Unforced turnover, and Conway will once again walk, trot, canter. No, he's let this one go right into the gum trees rather than just kicking alongside the umpire, and he has now booted Central District's 23rd goal for the afternoon. And this has turned into an absolute debacle.
Michael Raiders has got his hands to his head at the moment. You can't believe what he's done. I don't think Coach Stringer caught 10 either.
Well, we see Conway, at least he had the respect not to do a drop kick or anything like that, and that sometimes happens in those situations. But
well, Flatley, I think he should have.
No, it's a
you know.
Yeah, we understand. I mean, yes, as we look at these supporters, the Centrals, it's been a long afternoon and it's going to be a long drive home.
Hope the heater's on. This is Central District's record margin over Glenelg ever. It's their biggest winning margin. If they can sustain this, they'll go home with another record. Their biggest score this year as well, just been achieved. Good mark in defence, Tasker on the left boot. He seems to be growing in stature and confidence, Tasker, and that's important for the Tigers. As getting off the handball, Tamblin. Not much strength in that one to Visca, who comes into the middle of the field. Rubenik, they're two important players, those two fellows. They need to give more. Now, look at the static nature of the Glenelg forward line. Now, Rubenik's just got to play on, and I think if they just played on football, they'd do a lot better. Brooks tried to just get an easy mark. The umpire wouldn't fall for it. Green over the top, got it from Steinburner. Now Chambers evades a tackle on the left boot, goes short, and Herrera on the outer wing marks. The centre half back, who had a stint during the third quarter on the bench and comes back fresh for this final quarter, to McGowan, who's worked hard all day and has picked up impressive stats of 13 and 15. 28 possessions already, and we're only midway through the final term. Green, who started on the bench and has played beautifully since coming on, finds Jimmy Wine, who's been in the wars with 3 or 4 hard whacks to the head. 40 out, he'll chip it short, and look at the looseness, it's home. 30 out on a 45-degree angle. As we go down to Rob Popplestone on the boundary.
Thanks, DB. Just an interchange to be made for Central Districts. Craig Potter coming back onto the field. He's had that gash over his left eye stitched up, and he'll return to the field. So he looks quite comfortable and eager to get in this goal fest that Central Districts are going through at the moment.
Yes, this is an absolute shadow of the best that Glenelg can play, and certainly, look, we understand, David, the club's been decimated through injuries at the moment, but the last thing you need is a visit to Elizabeth in the middle of that sort of thing. As Holm kicks yet another one.
Gets his second.
He kicked his second goal. As Central's kicked their 24th, and the margin continues to grow. And Holm, he's been a very impressive type. He's come across from, and I'll bet he's glad he made the move from Tasmania too, because playing a different grade of football here, some of the Tassie players measure up, some don't. But
he's only young, Glenn, isn't he? And he's still got a chance, perhaps, of being picked up by an AFL, but I think he just lacks the true pace to be picked up by an AFL.
Yes, well, as the stats come up on the screen there, and they are damning. 210 kicks to 136, and you know, the scoreboard is a very sad picture.
Once again, Arnold just goes back. Larry Witter's been belted to pull the post the last couple of quarters. Dew very cleverly sidesteps his Tiger player. Goes up 5. Good mark taken by Coffer. The indication from the umpire is he didn't have it long enough. Call play on. The ball's gone out over the boundary line. You just see here, a little bit high once again. Bartlett has been paid another free kick. The umpire just out of position. Can't quite see the arm over the shoulder and called play on. The ball's thrown in. Over to back was Coffey. Now, you never let this happen. What was going on? If he kicks a goal here, no way. Come on.
Well,
what do the Glenelg players think they're doing out there at the moment?
Everything that could have happened has happened. Everything that shouldn't have happened has happened. As Central's post their 25th goal and the rot continues. I mean, we can talk about, you know, and we're probably learning now what a incredible loss Wayne Thornber is when he's off the field, and arguably the club's 2 best players off.
Not one player at the back of the pack. I just don't believe it. Craig Cotter was by himself.
It'll get the slow motion replay during the week, I would suggest.
I'm sure hope it does.
161 plays, 37. 15 minutes into the final term. Mercifully for Glenelg, it'll be over within probably 12 or 13 minutes. What a shellacking. The Central District side really have reclaimed ground after losing the opening match of the year against Glenelg at Glenelg.
No one's coming on. A Glenelg player is coming off, and no one's coming on.
Well, Brooks has just dragged, and they've got no one to come back on. We might ask Rob Popplestone to find out what's happening there, or perhaps it's the blood rule that we don't know about. So we might just get Rob Popplestone to find out.
Well, DB, I'm down here at the moment, and I'm trying to find out, but as you called it, Justin Brooks, who hasn't been their worst player by by far, really. He's had a bit of the ball. He's come off the ground, but no Glenelg players going on, and I don't think any of them want to come on.
Rob, just go over and find out why, because that's an interesting one. They've got no injured players, and Brooks has come off. So perhaps if you ask...
Probably a disciplinary measure.
Well, would you discipline them at 37 to 161 with no
only
kick
just
They're
gave
20 goals behind.
I only gave you a possible. I just gave you a possible explanation. He ran off. He's going back. He's just got the message from the coach's box, and he's going back now.
It's fair enough.
Yeah, club runner must be tired.
Well, I don't know that I've ever seen that done before.
I was about to say that. I've never seen that happen before.
As we go down to Rob Popplestone.
DB, I can tell you that he came off to speak personally with the coach. So the coach wanted an instruction, man-to-man, not through a runner.
That's fair enough. Obviously a personal message. Very caring coach. Getting through Chambers. Now Potter, who went off with the blood rule during the third quarter. Torpedoes one. It was a bit of a wobbler, wasn't it? But look at the judgment of Scotty Lee.
He's getting close to that goal mouth.
He's edging up the ground again, isn't he?
He loves kicking the goal.
Oh, he makes another move. It's the old 1-2, but no, he's been nailed.
He loves kicking a goal, no doubt about that. His stated target is to kick more from a back pocket than his rover does.
Well, it's a hell of a long run back now. He's not exactly running back, though. He's sauntering back.
Brooks gives it back to Tamblin, who goes high towards half forward. Green stands his ground running and taking it as Reed, who did pretty well. He hasn't been their worst player either. He's got a couple of goals, goes towards Corns. Out on the lead is Strong. Geister was disciplined and thumped the ball towards the boundary line. And McGowan is quite happy just to keep it in and try and run at it again. Pushes it towards Green. This is Peter Green, a left footer towards Cotter, but Brooks marks. No, he doesn't. Tamblin needs support. Gets a shepherd from Brooks. Well done, Brooks. The double play is good. Rubinick back to Tamblin and a long ball towards half forward, but no one home. And there's an easy chest mark taken by Chambers.
This back line for the Bulldogs today has been pretty impressive. Could you say that the Glenelg forward line just hasn't worked hard enough to keep the ball in the area, but once again we see him clear without any real pressure. Ball's punched forward again. Holmes in there, commits his body. So does War. Good effort. Hicks is down, centre half forward. Ball goes forward again, but once again.
I think Hicks is down with lactic acid.
Well, I tell you what, it was a courageous effort as he spoiled Visca at the stage, but he's up again now, which is good for Central supporters, as Jimmy Wine takes a mark right in front of the grandstand.
So Wine has got Scotty Lee, who's still up from the back pocket. Umpire hasn't picked it up yet.
They may as well rest him, really. He's done enough today, hasn't he?
From behind, just Butler went a little bit too early. The big fella in Conway once again, big and strong, takes a mark out in front. You see movement across the centre of the ground. The ball's pushed in that direction. 3-on-1 here. The Central's players are rated. Nearly takes it. The ball's kicked forward once again. It'll be a foot race on with Green. He comes out quickly. He does. He takes it. Umpire indicates it was held. He plays the advantage. This is to Lee. Lee sets it up for Potter. Potter out in front, puts one hand up. Coming through hard again as a Raider. He wants to kick a goal also. The Bays keep it in there. Cotter, Coffey, left leg, round body. Misses once again.
And let me just check, how many is that? That's 4 goals, 6, I make it.
Certainly what Stevie Wright wasn't looking for at three-quarter time when he spoke about Coffey's inaccuracy, but at least he's getting the ball and down to Robbie Popplestone on the boundary.
Yeah, thanks for that, Glenn. Just an interchange being made forcibly, unfortunately. Damien Hicks, probably one of the best players for Central Districts today, off with the blood rule. And Matthew Jones comes back on.
We come back in board. Joshy Cotton, tackled by Potter, goes to ground. That's holding the cherry, no doubt about that.
David, body strength's a big thing in this competition here today, isn't it? I mean, Central's just look physically bigger and stronger, and age doesn't explain all of that, because Central's have some younger fellows as well as Jones, is it?
Yes, it is. Jones to Jimmy Wine.
Into Jimmy Wine.
He'll go back and kick a goal. We might just take a couple of updates while Jimmy Wine's there. West and the Eagles at Adelaide Oval. West almost home. They're 40 points up virtually. And in the other match, North by 31 points. I think they're home against South. And Jimmy Wine, who's got 1 in the first, 1 in the second and 1 in the third, lines up for his 4th. Pretty fair effort from a forward pocket rover, and that's 4. Bang. Happy day.
Yeah, he's been a marvellous player for his whole career, and he's become a little legend out here at Centrals, and the fans love him, and his coolness and his experience is invaluable to these Central players, but...
Little stat, Glenn, that not many people know, that in the last 5 years at Fitzroy, he never finished out of the top 5 in their best and fairest.
Yeah, and he's not a pup anymore, is he? I mean, he's on the plus side of 30,
32.
which he's certainly not going to improve, but he's a valuable player still.
Back in the centre of the ground. Central Districts, 26 goals, 12, 168. Glenelg, 5 goals, 7, 37. What a day for the Bulldogs. I won't forget this one for a long while. There'll be plenty of beer being poured over the bar tonight. They're back in town. Again, the base, attempt to go forward. Green just trying to hold front position. Great tackle once again. What will the umpire indicate? He does. Good decision.
And that's been their trademark, Mark, isn't it? All day today, they've tackled so hard.
Scotty Lee just, once again, he's a Fred Astaire of football, I'll tell you now. He's got those lovely feet, just walks around anybody. Up it comes. It's a good, strong mark taken. Good courage showing. A young player, and Jep, he goes inside the Rubenik. Rubenik's, what will he do? He's got smart, he wants to use him. He comes a bit wider. Again, that's Jep again.
And Mark, is exactly what we've been talking about. Glenelg haven't got the confidence to attack the goal square. We've gone from the half-forward flank, the centre half-forward, back to the forward pocket. Now Jep kicks from an acute angle. And as he lines up from a difficult angle, looks to have hooked it badly off the boot. And, you know, you don't kick a lot of goals from in there. And I'm sure Wayne Stringer would be pretty disappointed with the lack of direction then when it went into the forward lines. But that's been Glenelg's trademark all day, I'm afraid.
That's 130 points the margin in favour of the Bulldogs. And there's a good crowd here. I think quite a few people have come in since midway through the third quarter, where we officially had 2,500 people listed. I think it might just blow out to a little over 3. Stewie Dew with a powerful boot to blasted right to Arnold in the midfield. Scotty Lee, well, it's a push in the back, said the umpire, and the ball will come back.
A very gentle push in the back, but it was there. I mean, the umpire was perfectly positioned, and here it goes again. Just a gentle little nudge, and maybe he was a touch stronger than his opponent, though.
Absolutely. Ottens from centre half forward. Pushes one high. Now, there's not much in the way of big man strength down in the Glenelg forward line. Parada over the top of it, who was the best defender last year for the Bulldogs and most consistent. And there's McLean, who has that thigh injury, we believe a cork thigh.
Yeah, McLean and Benny Thompson, of course, and a worried team manager there, and Wally Elliott,
I believe
long-time Glenelg stalwart.
Thornborough has a knee injury, and they're thinking it's quite serious. I went down at three-quarter time and just checked, just after three-quarter time.
That'd be absolutely tragic, is young Josh Condon, and how many times have we seen that again? Central's smothering off the boot, and once again, Timmy Cook on his left foot takes him out of trouble, and Stevens forces the ball on.
Yes, under pressure from Smart. Arnold paddles it out, is pulled off the ball, play on to the umpire. No, he didn't. Now there's a free. So Arnold will take the free on the outer side.
Yeah, well, that is just harking back on the Thornborough thing. That would be absolute tragedy for Glenelg if Wayne Thornborough, who's had a marvellous season to date, if he was to be unavailable, to leave a gaping big hole in the big man ranks there.
Well, I think he's taken either the most or the second most marks in the SANFL competition. He's been a real focal point for them.
Yeah, well, it's been a terrible afternoon for the club, but you don't exactly expect to have your two best players sitting on the bench.
So Arnold goes forward. Jimmy Wine, who's had plenty of the football this afternoon. He's had 13 kicks, 6 handballs, and 11 marks.
He's enjoyed it, hasn't he?
He has.
Well, who wouldn't if you're a Centrals player?
Geister in fullback. Chips the ball out.
But Mark,
what a bit of space.
What hope? What hope the fullback having to contend with the open space? You know, Coffey with 30 metres of space in front of him takes an effortless mark and gets a chance to put himself back in the coach's good books, I think.
As David Mackay said, 4 goals, 6 this afternoon, as Coffey just leans back on it once again. I think he may have kicked this one. Is the flags waving? Yes, they are, from behind the goal square as the umpire puts 2 fingers up. So the 25-minute mark of this last quarter, Central Districts, they move on to 27 goals, 12. They lead Glenelg 5 goals, 8.
Well, we've said it time and time again, but when the midfielders get free and there's no pressure, it's an absolute cakewalk for the players up forward, and Coffey then took full opportunity of an open forward line and popped through his, what, 5th?
Yes, it was his 5th. 5 goals, 6 he has. 26 minutes gone, the final term. It'll be over shortly for Glenelg fans. As the ball back in the centre. Arnold thumps it down the throat of Jimmy Wine, who's tackled by McGowan, by the way, but McGowan's good enough to flick it out. And going to ground appeared to be Raiders, and a good crowd here enjoying this big win. They're 136 points clear at this stage, and the game's not over yet. Their biggest margin ever against Glenelg, and their biggest score this year. In wet conditions, it rained well and truly before the match. We had heavy going early, but Central have been the stronger. Burke, who's been one of probably Glenelg's best players, in fact, probably their best if you really think about it. A long ball to half forward. Brooks couldn't claim it. At the back door, it was Chambers to Stevens, who's kept running. He started the game well and finished off pretty well too, by the way. A left-footer towards Arnold at half forward, and he's running up and down on the spot, the big man. He's rucked all day. Ottens claims him, pushes it out. Jones, well, he got away, didn't he? But just. And under pressure, the kick went out of bounds on the full.
Yes, well, as you called, David, I think that the Glenelg fans and therein tells the story. I mean, where does Wayne Stringer go from here? I mean, there is just absolutely nothing positive he could pull out of the afternoon. I mean, he's had a couple of players who've tried hard, and that's about all you could possibly say about it.
It's ball from behind from Arnold.
Yes, well, it's getting darker, and you know, at the 27-minute mark, I think every Glenelg supporter would just love to hear that siren so they can start focusing on next week.
So Watkins, who hasn't done a bad job up against Arnold since he's moved into the middle. To his credit, he has competed in the round-the-ground ball-ups, had his share of marks as well.
It's very hard.
Only 17.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's on a learning curve, and but he's an outstanding talent. As I think Burke drives it into the forward line, but once again, a congested, and there's probably outnumbered down there, Mark. If we look at it now, there's just more Central Districts players around than there are Glenelg, and it's an indictment. Glenelg have been able to pull a free kick out of this as Justin Brooks gets a free kick for in the back and spears it into the forward line.
Corns out in front, up against Doc Geister. Stewie Dew has been outstanding. Just suffering from a little bit of cramp still. But he has covered so much ground today, so he should be getting very, very tired. Wine also, he's covered a lot of ground. He's looking very, very weary as well. Could hardly manoeuvre himself around the Bay players then. Just prepared to handball the ball over his head towards the boundary line.
28.5 minutes gone. Final moments in this match. We'll give you final reports from the Eagles West and South and North game. There's Arnold, and there it is, mercifully. The siren has sounded. It's a 136-point margin in favour of the Bulldogs, and their fans like it. Central District, 27 goals, 12, 174, have defeated Glenelg, 5 goals, 8, 38, and then you'd suggest that this is probably the Tigers' worst performance, but equally probably Central's best.
Well, David, certainly in the last few years, I mean, I don't think Glenelg can come near this for such an atrocious performance. And, you know, to Wayne Stringer and all the boys, it'll be it is a very, very long way back from this. And to Robbie Popplestone and down on the boundary.
Thanks for that, Glenn. Yes, I have. And one of the better players for Central Districts, especially in that first half when it counted, was Damien Hicks. And Damien, you played like you had plenty of confidence.
Yeah, the boys were getting it out of the centre, so I just had to run to the spaces. And I think we worked really hard the first quarter. We got a jump, so we just flowed on from there. And
the running and the fierceness at the body, was that obviously an instruction from Stevie Wright?
Oh, yeah, we were pretty keen to make amends for round one when they beat us at the Bay, so we were really fired up today.
Well, just going back to round one, of course, they hit you very hard, and the tide certainly turned, and the tune of a win of well over 20 goals will certainly satisfy most of the people out here at Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy. Should be a decent night, yeah.
Good on you, Damien. Thanks for that. Good luck for the rest of the year. And if today's game's any indication, you're in for a beauty the second time round.
Okay.
Good on you. Damien Hicks, of course, one of the better players for Central District, Steve B. I don't think you'd argue with that.
No, I don't think I would, Rob. And we might put Mark Nailey on the spot. Best players for Central. I think Hicks at centre forward probably was their best. 4 goals, 1.
Appreciation of the crowd at the moment. They really are excited about today's win. Just a couple of better players, Dave, today. Coffee at full forward. Okay, he kicked indirectly, but he gave him the target every time they went up. This is in no particular order. Cook,
also was just sensational. Daniel Holmes started so well, number 16, and also Ricky McGowan in the middle. He was very, very exciting. Craig Cotter on the half-back flank was very, very good. Steinberger also was very, very good. Which, I mean, you'd really go through the whole side. I mean, they won every position on the ground, and they did quite easily.
What about Glenelg? Could you find a couple of good players for Glenelg?
It's pretty hard. Very, very hard, but possibly Alistair Burke. He was around the mark, and also Ryan Moore at full-back, but he saw plenty of the ball come his way, so he should be in the best players.
Pretty hard. So the final score here at Elizabeth Oval, and there it is, 27-12, 174, 5 goals, 8, 38 Glenelg. As we go to the goal kickers, Coffey kicked 5 goals, 6. Cook got 5. He was a terrific little resting Rover. Jimmy Wine got 4, so the Rovers got 9 between them.
We just see there, they really were exciting. We just see the stats there. They really do tell the story. I mean, the kicks are just 239 versus 159. It's nearly 100 kicks more. It's pretty close to it. The marks there, dominated by the Bulldogs. Also, the handballs dominated by the Bulldogs. Frees were pretty even, and the hit-outs, well, as I said, after half-time, when the young fella had to come in, that Brad Ottens, he did a pretty good job, I thought, up against the big fella in Conway.
I think that's fair enough. In other matches today at Adelaide Oval, West Adelaide defeated the Eagles. Have a look at the scoreline there. The Eagles' woes continue. And North Adelaide, a good victory over South Adelaide. And don't forget tonight, Port take on Sturt, the curtain raiser, to the big match at Football Park. And last night, of course, Collingwood, Richmond. It was a 6-point ball game there, a great match at the MCG. Hawthorn got up and defeated Essendon. Essendon's woes continue. And the Western Bulldogs have put the contender tag right in motion. They're not pretenders anymore. They've knocked off Geelong, who were top. And I think the Western Bulldogs take top mark on the ladder. Melbourne and Adelaide tomorrow, West Coast and St Kilda. And Monday, a big match, North Melbourne, Fremantle, and Carlton and Brisbane at Optus Oval. So we're looking forward to a couple of those matches. Well, fellas, just quickly, country games. We're a couple of weeks away from country games, Mark, and you obviously like it. And we're going to see this year at Port Pirie the first match under lights for SANFL points ever.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. They're taking the football out to the country, which I think they need to. I mean, SANFL football shouldn't just be regulated to the local Metropolitan League. I mean, you take it to the country, they're going to enjoy it. I know Port Pirie people, they'll come from Port Augusta, they'll come from Whyalla, and I'm quite sure that a few people from Adelaide will also travel distance and spend a bit of a weekend up in Port Pirie.
And in next week's matches, of course, the one match we'll be covering is Glenelg and the Eagles at Glenelg Oval. So we'll get a chance of having a look at Glenelg. North and Central, of course, is at Port Pirie under lights next week. And Sunday, Norwood South at Football Park and Port and West. Won't that be an important match for West Adelaide as they need to get back on the winners list? In video sales, $34.95. You can get any SANFL match of the day video available from the ABC shops. They're $34.95. I don't think there'll be too many Glenelg fans buying that today. It's thanks to Glenn Elliott who helped us out today. Did a great job. The former Glenelg general manager, now operating a different sphere, and joins us as part of our commentary team. Don't forget to join us at 2 o'clock next Saturday afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage today. A big win to the Bulldogs, 136 points from Central District.